for tonight in Game 2 of their series with the Nats? Well, they're looking for contact. Contact any way they can get it so they can walk away with a win. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Washington Nationals. Mets baseball on SNY is presented by Delta. Tonight's game is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play the middle game of their three-game set with the Washington Nationals. The Nats won last night 3-2. The Mets struggled last night offensively, and now in the last two games, they have struck out a collective 25 times.
Well, they're struggling at the plate collectively is right. They're hitting .241 as a team, Gary. That's 13th in the National League. That's fourth from the bottom. They're not scoring a lot of runs. They're 11th in runs scored. I think collectively with the 25 strikeouts, they're pressing. 9 were called third strikes, which is a little alarming. But I think the most telling thing is they've left double digits in men on base. 1 for 12 last night with runners in scoring position. That tells me that this ball club here at this ballpark is pressing.
And the Mets continue to pitch well, so they're playing close games every day, so all those at-bats are counting big time. And Jonathan Niese was a classic example of that his last start in Cincinnati. He gave up 12 hits, but he kept his team in the game.
Yeah, and he gave up a couple of home runs, but a very gritty game for Jonathan Niese. I thought one of his better games. You look at the numbers, they're not there, but he did not have his best stuff. He kept his team in the ball game. He's going to have to do that a little better tonight because he's going up against the national Scott Olson, who in his first 3 years with Florida had the most wins, 30 wins, and now after a few shoulder problems has come back awfully strong, took a no-hitter into the 8th inning in his last start.
That was against the Atlanta Braves. Now Olson, who has struggled against the Mets in his career, will try and notch a win here at Citi Field for the first time. Mets and Nats all set to go here at Citi Field on SNY.
Rethink possible.
By Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Delta, New York's most global airline, as a proud sponsor of the New York Mets. And by the world-famous McFadden's, now open at Citi Field. Major League Baseball and People magazine are looking for individuals who make a difference in their community. 30 everyday All-Stars will be honored at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim. To nominate your community All-Star to represent the Mets, go to peopleallstars.com. Here's your New York Community Bank around the majors for tonight. Johnny Damon homers for the Tigers as they beat the Yankees 5-4. Those two teams rained out in Detroit tonight. The Angels blew a 3-run lead in the ninth as Brian Fuentes gave it away, but Juan Rivera sacrificed fly in the 11th. They beat the Rays 5-4. That's 3 straight losses for the previously best in the majors Rays. And Ronnie Polino, a 2-run homer to help the Marlins over the Cubs as Nate Robertson gave the Marlins 6 solid innings. Florida just 2 games behind the Mets, who are a game behind the Nats as they enter play tonight. Mets looking to drive their way to a win with Jonathan Niese on the mound. First pitch coming up. Tomorrow for the final game of the series with Mike Pelfrey on the mound, and then the Mets start an 8-game road trip on Thursday night in Florida. 4 with the Marlins, 2 in Atlanta, and then 2 in D.C. before the Mets come home to play the Yankees weekend after next. Cloudy skies, the wind has turned around and not quite as brisk a wind as we've had the last couple of days. Temperature of the low 50s as we get ready for game time. There's your national starting lineup brought to you by Ford. Pudge Rodriguez, 4 for 4 last night and a stolen base, the oldest catcher ever to put together those stats at 38 years of age.
And Jonathan Niese on the hill for the Mets, making his 7th start of the year. He's given up 3 home runs, 29 Ks, 12 walks. That's a really good ratio, especially for a pitcher in his first full season.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Mets defense. And Francoeur, of course, we know all about that arm in right field. Very accurate arm. and he loves to show it off. And he's thrown out a few guys so far this year. You see the 5 outfield assists.
And there is the newest Met, Chris Carter, who was just brought up today with Frank Catalanato designated for assignment after last night's game as the Mets try and get a little more punch off their bench.
Well, it was a shame. I heard a lot of the comments that Frank Catalanato, who's one of the classiest guys you'll ever be around, you know, he was disappointed that in his hometown team he wasn't able to get a few more hits, but understood that's when the team's struggling for offense, they have to make moves. But very classy by Frank.
Well, the Mets started the year with Catalanato as that prime left-handed bat off the bench because of his experience. Carter is less experienced, but he had a great spring training, was red hot at Buffalo, and gives you a little more sock in that spot. And the Mets are hoping that he can provide that for a team that right now is struggling for the big hit.
Well, they're looking for lightning in a bottle. He's not going to get a lot of playing time, but he hit a lot of home runs in spring, and he really played the best to make the ball club. But he made the most of his time in AAA.
Nyjer Morgan leads off, takes a fastball for a strike, and we're underway. Morgan 2 for 5 in the game last night, had a couple of stolen bases. The Nats stole 4 bases against the Mets last night. The Mets have been a team that has controlled the running game very well this year. But last night was really the first night that we've seen a team take liberties with the Mets as far as the running game is concerned. Christian Guzman on deck with Ryan Zimmerman behind him, and a slow ground ball for Ike Davis to handle. Niese gets over to cover just in time to get the diving Morgan for the first out of the game.
Well, we saw a pitcher last night not get over for the National up to close play. You know that Morgan can run.
If he ran through the bag, he would have probably been safe.
It was Doug Slayton who wasn't able to get over there in time last night. And you know, one of the things there for Jonathan Niese, he's got to remember that leadoff hitter run right through the bag. He kind of broke it down there a little at the end to catch that ball from Mike.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Christian Guzman playing second base tonight. Guzman, who lost his starting shortstop job at the end of spring training to Ian Desmond, now sharing second base with Adam Kennedy. Guzman a switch hitter, but he has been far more effective this year as a right-hand batter, hitting .385 from this side of the plate. And Niese misses away 2-0.
He's always been a Met killer too. He has always been in the middle of things or driving in runs.
Looking a little evil with that beard he's got going. Mephistopheles.
Talking to Jim Riggleman about both Kennedy and Guzman, and he said one of the keys, early keys for his team to come together has been that Guzman and Kennedy have been supportive in the clubhouse. They've been great teammates in the clubhouse, which has helped Jim.
2 guys who are used to playing every day and have seen their roles diminish somewhat. Niese did not walk a batter in his last start. You see, he hasn't retired the side in order in the first this year, yet has been able to minimize the damage. And he walks the second man to face him tonight. So Niese, who was able to avoid the base on balls in Cincinnati, issues a walk.
And it's only the second hitter, but it's a good time to remind him he's getting a little underneath that cutter. That's why it's being up in the strike zone. So that's something that maybe Rod Barajas can remind Jonathan.
So here's Ryan Zimmerman, who was 1 for 4 last night, but really hit the ball well all night, including a home run that he hit against the wind to left field.
Well, he has an offensive game plan, Gary. He's very aggressive, and he gears fastball. I've seen him look for breaking ball, but he is sitting on fastball 90% of the time, and if he gets it, he's aggressive and out of the box.
And he rips one into left field. Base hit for Zimmerman. Toward the line goes Bay to play it. Guzman trying for third. Bay's throw goes to second. And the Nats have runners at the corners with 1 out. So Zimmerman, first pitch swinging, has the first hit of the night.
Now, it's a hanging cutter and has 2. We'll look at the full extension of the arms. That means that's out over the plate. But see, you can look fastball and adjust to breaking ball. And a lot of hitters today want to look for curves, and then they get caught looking on a fastball. Now watch, he's geared fastball here. There's a hanger right down the middle, and look, he's right on it, covering it like a rash.
I think you're right, Keith, is that if you're facing Jonathan Niese and they're starting to get a book on him, he loves that cutter inside. You can look in first pitch.
Here's Adam Dunn, who has struggled against lefties this year, and he takes ball 1. Well, do you feel as though John has become so enamored of the cutter that maybe he's throwing it too much?
Yeah, the best game he had this season was one when he used his curveball a lot. He's got to use that pitch. He's got to be a 3-pitch pitcher.
Dunn takes low and away. Adam Dunn hitting just 176 against lefties, and with runners in scoring position this year, hitting 129. Barajas out to the mound to try and get together with Niese as he's fallen behind on Dunn here in a dangerous first inning situation.
He's getting a little under that cutter, and the other thing that's a difficult thing is when you throw a lot of cutters, you have to really work that it doesn't become a slider. After a while, you break it, and you break it more and more and more, and the next thing you know, you have a slider instead of a cutter. He does not want that.
Inside, ball 3, and now Niese behind on Dunn, 3-0. Josh Willingham looming on deck. Willingham has already hit a first inning grand slam against the Mets this year. That came against Santana the opening week of the season. 3-0 to Dunn, and he swings and hits one deep to right, back toward the corner. Francoeur over near the wall, and it's out of here. A 3-run homer for Adam Dunn, and just like that, the Nationals have jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Dunn's 7th home run of the year, turned loose on 3-0, and he hits it into the front row to put 3 runs on the board.
Well, nice call by Jim Riggleman there. You got a young pitcher out there in Jonathan Niese, and you got a power hitter up there who's been struggling against left-handers, who loves the fastball. Take advantage of the inexperience of Jonathan. Let's see what the pitch is. Middle in, and boy, the Nats are on the board.
And that's really the only pitch you want to swing at, right, Keith? 3-0, you're looking middle of the plate in. Anything
Correct.
away, you let it go.
Absolutely.
Well, Niese, who gave up 2 home runs in his last start in Cincinnati, gives up a home run in the first inning tonight and throws a curveball for a strike to Josh Willingham. So a disappointing beginning for Jonathan Niese, who had allowed just 1 first inning run this year, but has now surrendered 3. Just 4 batters into the game.
Well, last time out, Jonathan got in trouble in the first inning and got out of it. But this time he gets burned.
And as you see, Met pitchers have been giving up more home runs lately than they had been earlier in the year. 18 in the last 10 games now. Willingham 1 for 4 last night, and he's been a hot hitter. Dan Worthen looking on with concern. And that cutter gets in on his hands and he fouls it off. Now, you talked about the danger of that cutter turning into a slider. What is that danger for a pitcher like Niese?
Well, the deception that he has, instead of that straight fastball, he has a little cutter that moves 3-4 inches, runs up the bat. That's the one he wants. The ones that start to become a slider, hitters start to recognize that pitch.
Curveball in for a call, 3rd strike, so Willingham goes down looking at the hook for the 2nd out.
What happens for Jonathan when he is pitching correctly with that cutter, that ball, when he cuts it, is going to move about this far. But what happens when it turns into a slider, it breaks about this far. And the break is good, but the hitters are so good that they'll recognize that break. The cutter's working because it says fastball, fastball, moves right up the inside of the bat, and that's how he jams it.
And what's the mechanical difference between throwing the cutter and throwing the slider?
You have to make sure that you keep the perfect grip on it, and you also put the same amount of pressure on that middle finger. When you start putting a little more pressure, especially when you're under pressure, that's when the ball will break more.
It's very complicated.
Yes.
1-1 to Pudge Rodriguez.
Yeah, if you're throwing a slider, you want to have the pressure here, and when it comes out, you want to break it. You want to break your arm a little. With the cutter, you want to have it really stiff, and you just want to make that cutter just move just a tiny bit, and do it with finger pressure, not with spin.
Rodriguez gets jammed, but it's inside, and it's 2-1. Pudge had a big night last night, 4 for 4, and stole a base. As we mentioned earlier, the first catcher of his age ever to do that, 4 for 4 and a stolen base. Takes a rip at a fastball, and it's 2-2.
Well, what's happened to Pudge Rodriguez, and I pitched against him early in his career, he's become a really good breaking ball hitter. Hits the fastball to the right side and will pull the breaking pitch.
Jams him, and he bloops one behind second base, and Castillo back there to grab it, and that ends the inning. But a fast start for the Nats with the power bat of Adam Dunn, providing 3 runs to give Scott Olson a lead as he takes the mound. Dunn's 7th of the year, and it's 3-0 Washington. home. Mets will try and get something going against Scott Olson, an old nemesis.
You see that record 2-1 so far. He's 35-42 in his career in 117 games started. And Met fans know he came over from the Florida Marlins with Josh Willingham, the left fielder.
Pagan has his average up to 269. He has struggled for the most part as a right-hand batter, although he had a hit batting right-handed last night. And Olson throws a strike, 1-1. Scott Olson in his last start threw 7 1/3 hitless innings against the Atlanta Braves. No-hit bid broken up with 5 outs to go on a David Ross single. Wound up a no-decision game for Olson. He was charged with 2 runs. Pagan lifts one into shallow left center. Morgan comes on, and that's the first out.
And we'll take a look at the Coors Light Washington National defense. And Yvonne, of course, we highlighted him last night with the Gold Glover, multiple Gold Glove winners. And you can see he can still throw. And look at that career percentage is unbelievable. He can still wing it. And it's all about his conditioning. He is in terrific shape.
Here's Luis Castillo. Louis 1 for 4 last night and drove in the Mets' first run. But his last time up, he took a call third strike in the 9th inning against Miguel Batista, which snapped a 44 plate appearance string for Castillo without a strikeout. So even he got caught up in the strikeout barrage. 25 strikeouts by Met hitters the last 2 games, 9 of them on call third strikes.
A little alarming. There's a lot of guessing going on up there. Unless I always felt, and I said this ad nauseum, if I took a call third strike fastball, unless it was a good inside corner fastball from a left-hander that tied me up.
Line to center, but Morgan playing shallow is there to grab it. 2 out.
I always said I was set up, and that would make me the most angry. But today's a different game. You know, they got computers down there, and they're looking, and they okay, pitcher X, 2-1 count, runners on first and second, throw 60%, 65% sliders.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you can throw all that away. I know there's some guys that can look fastball and hit a curveball, but a lot of the hitters, you can't tell me can be geared fastball and adjust to a break.
Here's Jose Reyes with 2 out and nobody on. Well, I thought it was an interesting comment from Jeff Francoeur after the game. He said, we need to do a better job of attacking. Now, obviously, Francoeur's a guy who generally is attacking from the first pitch, but as it's grounded down to third and Zimmerman handles it. But you wonder sometimes with all the emphasis on pitch counts and on base percentage whether guys sometimes get a little too passive. 1-2-3 inning for Olson. 3-0 Nats after 1. 718-507-TIXX to get your Mets Subway Series tickets. Jose Reyes runs in to grab the bouncer by Ian Desmond and throws him out. One pitch and one retired for John Niese in the second.
You know, in between innings here, Scott Olson was coming up to home plate umpire John Hirschbeck, one of the best in the league, and really going over, because of this new rule where pitchers can go to their mouth on the dirt, how they have to wipe it off, though, before they go and grab the baseball. So just confirming that, see, with the wipe off to home plate umpire John.
John Hirschbeck, the crew chief of this unit, with James Hoy, Wally Bell, and Laz Diaz. One out. Here's Willie Taveras playing right field tonight. Taveras appeared late last night and went 0 for 1. Takes a curveball from Niese for a strike. Interesting that John didn't unveil the curveball till after he gave up the 3-run homer.
And he's throwing a better curveball tonight than a cutter. There you go. It's
hit hard and just past Reyes. And Taveras has himself a 1-out hit. Third hit for the Nats.
Just a bullet that just eats up Jose. They couldn't quite get there.
You know, it's interesting with Taveras because he's so fast and gets so many infield hits. Reyes was in about 3 or 4 steps, and that caused him probably not to get a glove on that baseball.
You can see right there. Ball hit too hard.
Now Olson gets the bunt down. Niese will go to first. 1-3 on the sacrifice, moving Taveras up to second with 2 out. First sacrifice of the year for Olson. And so Nigel Morgan with a chance to get a run in. Morgan grounded out to Ike Davis his first time up. Nationals come into the night 4 games over 500 at 18-14. It's very interesting reading the Washington papers today. They characterized the game last night for the Nationals as the biggest game that the Nats have played in 5 years.
Wow.
Because, frankly, since 2005, they have never been anywhere near a division lead this late in the season. (2005), of course, was the first year that the Nats were in existence after moving from Montreal, and they had an extraordinary first half of the year.
Yeah, 50-31 first 81 games, 31-50 in the last 81 games. So just a kind of a crazy season, but they had the same kind of season that they're having so far. A lot of one-run games. They always would win the one-run games. I think they had 26 victories in one-run games in the first half.
Wore out Cordero. Their save guy never was the same after that year.
Well, that's one of the things that's very similar is that Cordero was almost perfect that season in the first half, and Matt Capps has been perfect for them out in the bullpen.
And they had, I guess, Luis Ayala was their Tyler Clipper.
There you go, Clipper with the 6 wins now.
He's now behind on Morgan, 3-1. And he misses low ball 4. So second walk given up by Niese. And he'll face Christian Guzman with 2 men on. Who were some of the stars on that Washington team offensively?
There's two guys with the Nationals team now that were on that team, Livan Hernandez and Christian Guzman. But Vinny Castilla played third base. Ryan Zimmerman came up later in the year. They had Jose Guillen in right field. Brian Schneider was on that team. Nick Johnson.
But they really won with their pitching day after day. And there was huge excitement in Washington that year because baseball was back for the first time since the early 60s.
Frank Robinson was the manager. And
early 70s, I should say. Dan Warth is going to visit the mound.
I remember when the Mets came in to Washington, and Keith, you were doing the games, and you came in and you said to me, you said, boy, I don't know if you know this, but the Mets are going to have a new station next year. It'd be really nice to work with you in New York. It's pretty funny.
I go, do you want to stay here and work in Washington, or would you like to come back to New York and work in New York? So give Lorraine Hamilton a call.
That year in Washington, it was such a makeshift operation at the beginning. You broadcast that 1 year for them, and you were hired like a week before the season?
No, I was hired on Saturday, and the game was Monday in Philadelphia.
So 2 days.
Who did you work with that year?
I worked with Mr. Mel Proctor.
That was your season in training.
It was.
Good changeup by Niese to start off Guzman. 1-1.
It really did feel like Apollo 15. You know, you kind of get in the module, they shoot you out there, and then after 162, they splash down.
That was your first year of video television, right, Ron?
I'd done some.
I mean, not any, but,
yeah.
but broadcasting.
Yeah, I had done a lot of television, but I hadn't done any broadcasting. And if you read some of the columns in the Washington paper that year of 2005, they let me know that I hadn't done any because I was pretty brutal.
Guzman fouls it off, and it's 2-2. He learned fast.
Yeah, thank God.
Zimmerman waiting to follow. Two on, 2 out, 2-2 to Guzman. And the curveball knocked down by Barajas.
Nice.
And a full count.
Nice block. Is it the Cellar Club?
It is.
Oh,
no, it's one of the clubs downstairs. That might be.
No, I think it's above us.
Yeah,
it's the Promenade Club upstairs.
Yeah.
Lost our perspective.
That's right. I forgot about the Promenade Club.
Runners get set to take off. 3-2, and Guzman bounces one foul. There are all sorts of clubs and eateries and places to watch the game from here.
Just like the ballpark, there's a lot of nooks and crannies.
Well, I found with the cold, blustery weather over the weekend, a lot of people told me that were at the games that they just parked themselves right in there in the comfort of a heated room and watched on TV.
Low inside, ball 4, and so Niese issues back-to-back 2-out walks to Morgan and Guzman, and that loads the bases for Ryan Zimmerman, exactly where Niese did not want to be. So the Mets, who have led the league in issuing walks this year, that's 144 walks now in 296 innings.
Well, Zimmerman first at bat, Gare, if you recall, hit a bullet base hit to left field on a hanging cutter. First pitch of the game he faced off of Niese. Let's see what his approach is off Jonathan here.
Big batter here as Niese tries to keep the Mets in the game, and a first pitch fastball for a strike.
Interesting. He took all the way there and took a fastball in.
The problem with Zimmerman is that if you try to work him away or just try to work him one way, he'll make an adjustment.
And he rips one foul.
Oh boy, he is red hot.
He's on everything.
Just see how aggressive he is. Just all this stuff they talk about when you got a pitcher out there, a good pitcher. Oh, work his pitch count, take a lot of pitches. Baloney. He throws a hanger up there, knock him out of the game. Knock him out early with base hits, not build up his pitch count so the manager has to pull him in the 5th.
Terrific speed out there for Washington with Taveras, Morgan, and Guzman on the base paths. Well, Niese has thrown 2 fastballs to Zimmerman. Gotten ahead 0-2.
Interesting. He shook off the fastball, shook off the cutter. It's either going to be maybe a curveball or maybe the changeup. Maybe he'll throw in the dirt away.
He's got something to waste here, you know.
Interesting. Niese dropped down a little bit, tried to make that a little more of a tighter slider down and in.
He's got to be careful if he does that, because if he's only going to throw that pitch, then it's Western Union. It's a change of point of release. And if that's the only pitch he's going to do it with, the hitters are going to catch on.
And that's something that I would think would be much more effective against the left-hand hitter, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so a good pitch right here because he's been in. Barajas sit about 6 inches outside and try to paint one outside to give him a little different look, and then he can pound him back in.
0-2 to Zimmerman. Curveball, line foul.
He is just on spot right now. He is just looks like a red hot hitter.
So now what do you do?
Well, 0-2. You have to remember, you've worked your tail off to get this count in where you want it. That was a good curveball. but you wanted to bounce that, or you wanted to at least have that in the dirt. There's control in the strike zone. You also have to have control out of the strike zone. I would personally, if I were Jonathan, I'd want to fire one about a foot outside just to have him get a little closer to the outside corner and then pop him back inside.
Gets it in on him, and the bouncer to Reyes gets the force play and gets Niese out of trouble in the second inning. Good recovery by Niese after a couple of walks. Now the Mets have the middle of the batting order coming up in the second. Bay. Jason Bay leads off the home second against Scott Olson and takes the fastball for ball one.
Well, the instructor, Mr. Barajas, and the student, Jonathan Niese. What Rod will do in this situation, he'll go over the last couple of innings with Jonathan, where they're going to move forward.
Bay lines one to left, fading fast, and it drops for a base hit. So the Mets have their first base runner of the night, Bay with a leadoff single.
He's still a little quick off the end of the bat. And that's a pitch upstairs. Just a split second out in front. And he's got the big top hand. He's got good. He's not lunging, but he's just a split second out in front instead of that ball. But that ball probably could have been driven into the gap over in the right center field. And that's the difference between the barrel of the bat and towards the end.
Here's David Wright. David had a couple of hits last night, and he fouls it off, and the Mets are attacking earlier in the count against Olson, so maybe what Frank Coors said yesterday has become a little bit different game plan tonight.
Well, the Mets have just beat up on Olson, as we said earlier, 1 in 6 lifetime against the Mets. And David Wright, 3 home runs, 10 for 35 career.
And that one's ripped foul. Well, maybe the most significant game that Scott Olson ever started against the Mets was a game he didn't get the win, but his team did. That was the last game ever played at Shea Stadium. Final day of the season in 2008. Olson started that game, gave up 2 runs in 6 innings, and as Met fans well know, the Marlins rallied a couple of home runs in the 8th to win that game and send the Mets home for the season. 1-2 to David Wright.
It's always a good pitch, 0-2. The hitter, when you're 0-2, Gary, you've got to bear down. You're like a caged, you're like a cornered animal that's fighting for its life, and you've got to go up the middle and just be aggressive and go up the middle looking fastball.
Bay takes off. Wright lifts one foul down the right side. And that'll settle in the seats out of play. Now, last night was a classic example. 9th inning. And the Mets got a runner on. And maybe even a better example on Sunday when they got a leadoff double and the next 3 hitters struck out. We always talk about cutting down your swing with 2 strikes, going up the middle. Is that a problem right now with this team as a group?
I think it's a problem in Major League Baseball, collectively as a group.
Bay runs again, and David hits one off the pitcher's leg. Olsen goes down. Zimmerman has no play, goes to second. Bay gets back. It's an infield hit for Wright, and now concern for Scott Olsen, who took that one hard off his leg.
Boy, that looked like he got him right in the ankle.
Well, he threw David a changeup. I bet he's going to be all right here. Now, if you're going up the middle here, and the pitcher throws a fastball in, and he counters with the changeup, let's see where it hit him. I think it did get him in the ankle.
This is where, if you're all right as a pitcher, the next day in your locker, someone tapes a glove to your shoe.
It's hard to catch with your shoe, isn't it?
That's a pretty good pitch, right? I got him on the back of the ankle.
Left leg.
See David with 2 strikes going up the middle. There's your course light freeze cam. Let's take a peek where it got him. I got him on the ankle square.
Side of that left ankle. Now that's his push-off leg. Is that better or worse than it being your landing leg?
Better if it's the push-off leg. You push off a little less, but if you are pounding it with that landing leg, that's where it's going to really swell up.
Well, here's Ike Davis, who has just torn up left-handed pitching in his brief major league career in historic fashion. And as he swings and misses nothing in 1. Ike is 8 for 14 against left-handed pitchers going back to 1969. No other major league hitter, right-handed, left-handed, or switch hitter, has had 8 hits, including 2 home runs in his first 14 at-bats against left-handers in the majors. So that's pretty extraordinary. One and one to Davis.
Well, you know, when I'm looking at Ike hit, Keith, and if I was facing him, he would have to prove to me that he can hit the ball down and away. Because the way his approach is, I think he's covering about 3/4 of the plate. But that ball down and away, I would think, has got to be a pitch that's going to give him trouble.
Well, watch his front foot, folks, where he strides. He's a little better there. He doesn't step so much in the bucket against lefties. But he's got a long bat, he's got extremely long arms, and he reaches for that outside corner. But I agree. I wouldn't want to change anything with him right now, but I think later in his career, maybe have him move an inch closer to the plate, maybe 2 inches closer to the plate, so you can have a little more coverage on that outside corner. He's not that far off.
But he gets further off with that stride, taking him toward the first base.
Right, exactly. He pulls him away from the outside corner. And you see right there, he had to let go with one hand.
It's funny sometimes the way certain hitters are built can allow them to be certain hitters. Davis with the long arms, like Keith said, can hit this way because he can reach the outside part. A guy like Dan Uggla, with the kind of body style he has, the real short arms, that's why he's great middle of the plate in.
Two and two to Ike Davis with 2 on and nobody out. And he taps one back to Olsen. Has the play at second. Desmond with the relay in time for the double play. 1-6-3 as Bay moves over to third.
Outside fastball, and you can see he got him stepping in the bucket and stuck his fanny out. Perfect feed. That should be a tailor-made right there. There's the reach. He knew it, and it's very frustrating. It's happened to me more than a few times in my career.
So Olsen showing no ill effects after getting drilled by the David Wright line drive. And now Frank Corr down on the count 0-1.
Mets have come out here early looking like they're a team that doesn't want to get the 2 strikes.
They're in attack mode. Last night 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. 0 for 1 tonight. 0-2 to Frank Corr. Jeff has really tailed off offensively, but his numbers against lefties have been great this year. He's hitting .346 against left-handers. And has a couple of home runs in his career against Scott Olsen. That's down 3-0 on the Adam Dunn 3-run homer in the first. Up and away 1-2.
Well, Olsen was part of that great, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Gary, that great rotation, a young rotation that came up with the Marlins. Josh Johnson got hurt that year, if you recall.
Anibal Sanchez threw a no-hitter in that first season. Ricky Nolasco was starting to come into his own.
That was a big 4 right there, and everybody said, my goodness, the Marlins are going to have quite a rotation for the years to come, but Olsen regressed. He's had temperamental problems. He's got emotional problems as far as his controlling his temper. It looks like he's had a stint in the minor leagues. He's come back and he's been more composed.
And Frank Corr lines a base hit to get a run in. So the Mets, who searched all last night for that hit with a runner in scoring position, get one from Jeff Frank Corr, and they're on the board. It's now 3-1 Nats. 18th run batted in for Frank Corr.
Wants to come inside and gets too much plate.
That was the 4th pitch in a row also. That was a fastball up in the strike zone. Jeff made the adjustment.
You can see inner half of the plate. There's your difference.
So the 3rd hit of the inning off Scott Olsen produces a run. And now Rod Barajas, the Mets home run leader, with 9, and takes a fastball for a strike. The Mets have hit 29 home runs this year and given up 30. But they've only hit 1 3-run homer this year, and they've given up 7 3-run homers or grand slams. So it's not how many home runs, it's how many on base when they've both hit and given up home runs that have mattered. Mets have given up 4 3-run homers, including the one tonight, and 3 grand slams.
Well, no one wants to give up a home run if you're a pitcher, but the solos you can live with. You know, whenever you give up a 3-run home run, you're on your way to having a tough ball game.
It was Ferguson Jenkins and Catfish Hunter their whole career. And both Hall of Famers, both gave up lots of home runs every year, but were always solo home runs, and you never could beat them with it.
The late Robin Roberts gave up more home runs than anybody, but over 60% of the home runs he gave up were solo.
505.
That record may fall before too long. Wow, that is some concoction right there.
I don't know.
Came up with that.
A lot of sugar in that.
Wow.
It's the 0-2. And Barajas turns on one deep down the left field line, but foul. Home run distance for Barajas, and basically all of his home runs have gone right in that neighborhood.
Well, he's all or nothing. He doesn't get cheated, and that's a cutter that left out over the plate too much and up. Just a little bit too quick.
Rod's like that big kid when you're a kid and you keep hitting the ball out of the yard, and so you keep throwing it to him. Never get it back.
Picking off Frank Corr, but it's dropped by Dunn, and Frank Corr arrives safely at second. Now Olsen had him picked off, but Dunn just dropped it.
Well, see, Dunn's moving back, doesn't move in, just a little loose, too loose.
Can you charge an error on that play, or is that an automatic stolen base?
That should be an E3, huh?
I don't know, because then you have to assume that he's going to make the throw and a good tag is going to be made.
I think they'll rule that a stolen base.
I think you're right. I think it has to be a steal. We'll wait to see. Barajas hits one sharply, but right at the second baseman, Guzman. And that ends the inning. So Francoeur gets credit for a steal and an RBI, and the Mets get their first run of the night. By Amtrak's Acela Express. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com. John Niese got out of trouble in the second inning after giving up a 3-run homer to Adam Dunn in the first, and Dunn leads off in the third. Dunn's home run was his 7th of the year, now has 17 runs driven in, and he takes first pitch strike. He's still behind Dunn 3-0 with 2 aboard in the first inning, and Dunn turned loose, found the front row in right field. Josh Willingham and Pudge Rodriguez to follow in the top of the third. And a good fastball past Dunn, 1-2.
You can get him out upstairs. He likes that ball down. Just above his waist is the place to go. He swings up, through it. Right under it.
And it's in there for a call, strike 3. So Dunn down looking at the fastball. And Niese has his second of the night. 1 out and nobody on. Josh Willingham coming up. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Guys, I'm with Stuart Rahr, the president of Kinray Incorporated in Queens, the largest employer in Queens. And Stuart, good things today. On the field before presenting a check to a couple of different charities. You're doing something this season where you're donating money for every home run. $5,000 to the David Wright Foundation for every David Wright home run here at City, and $1,000 for every other Met home run here at City to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, as Josh Willingham kind of bounces out of the way there. Why did you decide to do this? I mean, that's an awful lot of money to 2 very good causes.
Well, I thought it was an excellent way to give back. I've been associated with the Make-A-Wish Foundation for 10 years. And, of course, we've rooted for the Mets for the last 25 years. So I just thought it would be a logical way of tying the 2 great organizations and just a way of giving back. And everybody's win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Willingham skies one that Pagan will put away for the second out of the inning. Now, home runs were scarce here at Citi Field this year. So was this a way of a little incentive to the home team to drill a couple more out of here?
Well, it seems that way. So far for April, they seem to have hit 20-30% more than they've hit last year. So I hope it continues, and that will be a real good blessing for all the fans.
Did you set a goal, or did you set a monetary goal for this?
No monetary goal. Just get into the World Series. series, and then we can double the incentive for sure.
That's terrific. And guys, one other thing, talking to David Wright about his foundation today, and he has a big decision where the money goes. He said, I like to put the money, really where I could see it. And an example is the New York Ronald McDonald House. The David Wright Foundation bought out the room for the year, which basically means any families that have to come into this city and have their children have a surgery, they stay free at the Ronald McDonald House, and it's basically courtesy of the David Wright Foundation. So obviously the Make-A-Wish, David Wright, great things, and Stuart a big part of that. Guys, back to you.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much to Stuart and David for all their good works and all they do to help the community. Rodriguez foul tips one, and it's 1-2 to Pudge. He's got in on Pudge and broke his bat his first time up. His little pop-up to Castillo. First time Rodriguez has been retired in this series after going 4 for 4 last night. And did he go around? He did not. It's a pass from James Hoy, and it's 2-2.
That's a reputation call right there. Very future Hall of Famer. You don't call that one on, and that was a swing. You might not agree with that.
I do disagree.
We'll always have that constant battle. Be like a good friend.
Someday somebody will define for me what's a swing. Here's the 2-2. Again, he gets it on his hands. Little pop-up. Out goes Castillo to make a good grab. Louis running on that bad foot went a long way because Pagan apparently was not going to get there. Nice play by Louis and a 1-2-3 inning for Niese in the top of the third. Still 3-1. Weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY.
Trouble filling that segment with the Yankees Tigers tomorrow. Rained out.
The rain out and the doubleheader to come.
There you go.
John Niese will lead off 1 for 12 on the season against Scott Olson, who gave up a run in the second but got a double play to keep himself out of what could have been a more damaging inning. It's only the second run that Olson has given up in his last 4 starts. Niese floats one to center, and Morgan will have to play it on the hop. And so John Niese has his second hit of the season. And the Mets have a leadoff hit for the second straight inning. Did we ever find out whether Luis Adelano got his ball yesterday after his first big league hit?
I did not. I should have asked him.
Remember, it was a runner thrown out at the plate. Barajas made the tag. We don't know what happened to baseball after that.
Got his first hit, got a win, all on his 25th birthday.
3-0 in the big leagues. Off to a nice start in his first 4 major league outings.
Doesn't look the worse for wear after probably a celebration last night of his birthday in W.
And could start a baseball fashion trend with those glasses. Here's Pagan, who takes a strike.
With all the time, I don't get the hoodie thing, though. I know that's maybe a younger generation thing.
Keeps you warm.
I would have never wore that.
No?
Sorry. No.
It's good enough for Joe Madden.
But it is. And
he fought
Bill
for
Belichick.
Well, started 1-1. Anybody who resigns as the HC of the NYJ. That's a different kind of hoodie. That's what Keith might wear.
No. It's like Nanook of the North.
I mean, it's not that cold tonight. I mean, it's in the 50s. What does that guy wear in December? Down low to Pagan with the change, and it's 2-1.
Wow, that's no comment.
Interesting color scheme.
He must be like me. He's like a cartoon character.
Colorblind?
Colorblind.
Pagan flying to center his first time up. Mets about hit the Nats 4-3, but the Nats have the big blow. Adam Dunn's 3-run homer. And Pagan bounces a double play ball. Desmond to Guzman and on to first. Second double play in 3 innings turned by the Nats. 6-4-3, 2 out and nobody on.
Well, no wasted time here because Pagan can fly. Desmond gives the shovel. Nice turn by Guzman.
Boy, he's really taken to playing second base here, Guzman. That's as quick as you'll see getting rid of the baseball for the converted shortstop.
Guzman had never played a game anywhere but shortstop in his major league career before this season. He's already played second base, but he's also played in the outfield this year. Talk about a guy who has accepted his role with grace. Castillo grounds one right at Guzman, and he handles that one with aplomb. And it's another clean inning for Scott Olson despite the leadoff hit by Niese. Fourth inning, Ian Desmond leads off for the Nationals. Desmond grounded out to short his first time up. Jonathan Niese coming off his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. Misses inside. That's 1-1. Lower third of the order for the Nats. Desmond, then Willie Taveras and Scott Olson as Niese tries to settle in after a rough beginning. And Desmond bounces one out for Reyes to handle. So 1 away. Fourth straight inning now that Niese has retired the leadoff hitter. Pitch count got a little inflated in the second inning when he walked back-to-back hitters with 2 out. But he got his biggest out of the night when he retired Ryan Zimmerman, who has been swinging the bat like a demon in this series. Here's Willie Taveras, who singled his first time up.
Both Wright and Ike Davis have to be alert for the bunt. He'll go either way.
And bluffs it and takes a fastball for a strike. See Davis and Wright both coming in. Off the fists, a foul ball. Good cutter by Niese, and it's 0-2.
Yeah. Just impressed with Niese, Ronnie, how he got off to the slow start, the 3-run home run. He's very young. You know, a lot of kids could blow up. He's settled in. He just continues to impress me with his poise.
The man from Defiance.
Well, I think Barajas has a lot to do with that. Dan Worthen has a lot to do with that. After you give up runs in the first inning like that, 3-run home run, you're saying to yourself, got to get to the 5th or 6th inning without giving up any more.
Taveras pops one up in foul ground. Davis over for a look, but it's out of play. Again, Davis runs into that low barrier. Didn't hit it as hard as he did last night. Willie Taveras has 4 RBIs this year. They all came in one game against the Mets the first week of the season. How's that possible? This is not playing all that much, sharing right field, which has been a revolving door for the Nats after letting Elijah Dukes go during the spring.
Well, I think that was an attitude change in that ball club, and I think that came right from the manager, Jim Riggleman. There's Jim.
And punch to the right side beyond Castillo. Taveras has his second hit. So Willie Taveras with a 1-out single. The 4th hit off John Niese.
Pretty nice at bat here.
Jonathan had given up a hit to Taveras on a curveball his first at bat. Went with all hard stuff this time. Still Taveras got the best of it.
So here is Olson, who sacrificed Taveras over to second in the second inning. We'll try and do the same here as Niese keeps an eye on Taveras, who's always a threat to try and steal a base. He has only 1 this year. But speed is Taveras' game. A strike to Olson. We talked about the Nats and a little bit of a change in attitude for the better. And I think sometimes you change attitudes by changing players, and sometimes you can change it by changing managers. And this Nationals team seems to have a very different demeanor to it since Riggleman took over.
Well, the manager has a say along with the general manager of what players he wants, and the manager will fight for players because there may be disagreements. And the general manager ultimately, I believe, is the boss and has the final say.
Bunted back to Niese. He'll go to second and gets the force, but it's dropped. But they say the out is recorded. They say that Reyes dropped it on the transfer as Taveras came in hard. And that's the second out.
That's a hard slide by Taveras here. Boy, it looked like Olson might almost got it on his fingers. Nice play, no wasted motion. Oh boy, he didn't have a handle on that, did he?
He didn't have a handle on it, and also he never touched the base.
That's the thing. He was not on the base at all.
Yeah, Reyes is never on the base.
But that's a play they'll almost always give to the middle infielder as far as the transfer is concerned.
Yes.
But you're right about him not being on the base. Second base umpire Wally Bell with the call. No argument from either side. 2 out in the inning. Olson now at first. And Morgan takes a strike. Was that transfer as automatic when you guys played?
Yes,
it is now.
Yes, it's automatic. It was automatic. And I was wrong. And that wasn't out at second base. They even give you, you just straddling the bag. They give you that too. Nice play by Niese. No wasted motion. And he does catch it, and it is in the transfer. But he wasn't on the bag, and that wasn't an automatic.
Because there's no reason for him not to be on the bag, is there?
You almost want to take that like a first baseman coming towards the pitcher, clear the runner, and maybe throw it first.
And clear the bag. And clear out to the right side, to the right field side of the bag. Jose just kind of straddled it right there and stayed, and allowed himself to get cleaned out on the takeout slide.
Guzman hoping for a turn on deck. 3-2 to Morgan. Olson runs, and Morgan lines one at Reyes, who makes the nice backhand pick and throws him out. Reyes going over backwards, picking off that one hopper on the backhand side.
Nice.
Like a highlight play. Highlight for a highlight. Here's today's Toyota text poll. Text 57508 to participate. Do you think the Mets should keep Oliver Perez in the rotation? A for yes, B for no. 57508 or SNY.TV. Your vehicle for participating. Well, Ollie's next start will be in the warmer climes of South Florida. That'll be on Friday night in the second game of the Mets series with the Marlins. Part of the batting order for the Mets in the home fourth against Scott Olson. Reyes, Bay, and Wright. And Jose attacks the first pitch. It's in well to center field, but Morgan going back has a beat on it. One pitch and one long out. And the Mets continue to go after Olson early in the count.
Sure, it's not fun for Jose as you see this location, Chief.
Right down the pipe. Just under it.
I think Jose would agree, but I like watching that Morgan go after baseball. It's got a nice gait.
Well, he plays shallow, and he can pull it off. Here's Jason Bay, who single leading off the second and scored the Mets' only run. Bay's now hit in 5 straight games.
Oh, good slider. Or did it take something off that, Ronnie?
I think that's the slider. Good call.
Yeah, off-speed slider.
See Jason's numbers much better at Citi Field than they have been on the road this year.
Good strike inside.
So he's seen the whole package from Olson. What do you look for here on 1 and 2?
1 and 2, you got to look for a fastball, and you got to bear down and go up the middle.
And the changeup, and it's 2-2.
Well, he gave that changeup away too. He kind of goosed it.
Backdoor slider.
And lined to the left center for a base hit. So Bay is 2 for 2. A one-out single for Jason Bay will get David Wright to the plate as the tying run.
Well, that might get him going right here. And this is a slider right down Broadway again. He's still a little bit towards the end of the bat. He's still just a tad quick.
Keith, the other day, Jerry Manuel was talking about Bay as a guy who slides forward. He used Ichiro Suzuki as an example and said it's not as severe, and clearly it's not. Do you think that slide is something that causes him to be a little quick sometimes?
No, I think what causes him to be quick is his top hand, his hockey swing. He comes over too quick with his wrists.
David Wright with a big cut at the fastball, 0-1.
You know what Jerry said, you don't want to change a guy like Bay. I mean, that's the way he hits. He's unorthodox in that regard. You see the fastball by David, a big uppercut, big long swing.
Well, you certainly can't change a guy at that point in his career. I think Jerry's point was that he's not sure how to tinker and how to advise Bay because it's something he's not that familiar with.
Well, also, I think that if you see a hitter that you have not coached or managed before, you need to see a hot streak first.
Right.
So once you see a hot streak, then if they get in that cold streak again, you have something to rely on, something to go back to.
One and two to David, who lined one off the ankle of Olson for an infield hit in the second inning.
That's a pitcher's pitch on the outside corner down.
Little sink.
Well, David can stay in the at-bat like he did the first time with 2 strikes.
Hope for a changeup like he threw him last time. I don't see a changeup grip there.
Bay runs, Pudge with the throw, and in safely Bay stays at second as Guzman backs up. Well, Bay was running a couple of times during Wright's at bat in the second inning. Runs here for his 3rd stolen base of the year.
I think the Met offense here, I think they're trying to make things happen, try to force the issue here. They've been struggling offensively. And you can always steal easier off a left-hander than a right-hander.
Coming into this series, there had been only 2 stolen bases this year against Pudge Rodriguez, and the Mets now have their 2nd of this series.
It's like a matador.
Olay. 2-2 to Wright. And David takes inside in a full count with Ike Davis on deck. Only 13 Gold Gloves.
14 All-Star games.
Hall of Famer. First ballot.
And that's running like this. They've gone from a post-up offense to a fast break. Changing.
On the bases and at the plate, too. Now the 3-2 to Wright. Inside, ball 4, and the Mets have the tying runs on base. Good at bat for David. First walk given up by Olson. And now Ike Davis comes up with 2 men on.
Well, they threw everything at him in this one. Give you a pitch sequence. First pitch, fastball up and away by him. Fastball in, just missed. Fastball away, sinking. Strike 2. Fastball away. There's another changeup right there that missed down and in, and a little cutter that misses.
That's a fault there, either of calling up the game or Olson. First pitch of the game, first pitch of that at bat, threw it right by David and countered with slider and changeup late in that bat. That's just a mistake.
Agreed.
So now Davis, who hit a comebacker into a double play his first time up, another chance here with 2 men on. And Ike takes a rip, 0-1.
That a changeup, huh? It's a changeup, but I wouldn't throw that pitch too many times. He puts it in a great spot, but if you raise that pitch, that's right in the alley that Ike likes from left-handers, the middle of the plate in.
And if you were Scott Olson and you see the Mets attacking first pitch fastballs, you have to change the program a little bit.
Well, were talking about that down in the way where you try to attack. Gary, you make a good point, but one of the things you can do is if the team is attacking your first pitch, you can still throw a fastball. Just throw it in a better spot. They'll put it in play. You can get some quick outs.
Now it's 0-2 to Davis.
He hasn't thrown
that slider low and away.
Just hasn't thrown him a pitch inside the first. This is the second at bat. He hasn't seen a pitch inside yet. Just a waste slider away after he's thrown him, but around 7 pitches away. I just think it's a good time to put one under the chin and then do what you want to do. Not to knock him down, but just to push him off the plate. I think that's what Pudge just called. They're coming in. No, back out.
And Davis pops one up. Pudge coming back for a look, but it's a short distance to the stands behind home plate.
Hitter's best friend in this ballpark.
45 feet from home plate to the front row. That's the shortest distance in the major league. It's not exactly the Oakland Coliseum. Is Kevin Kuzminoff still running for that pop-up, by the way?
I think he is.
The Dallas Braden perfect game. Man, that's a quarter mile. You like pitching there, didn't you?
Great.
1-2 to Ike Davis. And he struck him out with a fastball. Olson going away to get Davis. First strikeout of the night for Olson. Davis, who's been tearing up lefties, not tonight.
Just a good fastball right to the glove. And see him reaching. Watch the step in the bucket a little bit. Not bad. I just think he needs to get maybe an inch closer to the plate. An inch makes a big difference.
And we've got to give credit where credit's due. I took away and criticized the pitch selection of Olson against Wright. Good pitch selection there. Fastball away.
So here's Frank Cora, who drove in the only Met run with a base hit with 2 out of the second. 2 on and 2 out. And Jeff fouls one off his leg. 0-1. May is at second. He singled and stole a bag. Right at first after a walk. Olson's now given up 5 hits over 3 2/3, but just the 1 run. He's been working with the lead from the first time he took the mound tonight. Adam Dunn with a first inning 3-run homer. And Frank Cora pulls one foul as Chip Hale has to do a little back bend. And it's 0-2.
Little cutter. Now with a hitter like Frank Cora, Ron, try to 0-2, try to make him swing at a pitch out of the strike zone.
That fastball up is the pitch that they've been trying to feature against Jeff when they have him 2 strikes.
Yeah.
Oh-2 outside, 1-2. Wilson's always had that hat low over his eyes. There's some kind of sinister demeanor out there on the mound. Rod Barajas on deck. Down to 1-2. And it's in for a call, strike 3. Frank Cora down looking at the fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts for Olson to get himself out of trouble in the 4th.
Opening day, I haven't been since until today, the Mets Hall of Fame. And, you know, I just tried to pick out some of the cool little things maybe that I missed on opening day. And today, my eyes went to Gil Hodges' contract from 1963. 31,000 buckos for that year for Gil. The major league minimum, according to the contract, was $6,000. And my favorite part is, you know, it's the old contract, so it's got the lines. You can see the typewriter maybe was a little off, so you know, the line's right in the middle of the number for the contract. And then maybe my favorite part, as Guzman launches one into right center field, and Vigan's going to try and cut it off. Can't do it. It gets by him. Guzman will go to second. Finish the thought, though. There was no SNY back in the day, as you know, so there is a stipulation in there. Player agrees to have picture taken for photo or television or TV use. I think all players are kind of doing that today. Guys, back to you.
Well, that is an impressive Hall of Fame and museum that the Mets and the Union Carpenters have put together.
$31,000 went a lot further back in the early 60s, didn't it?
What was your rookie year? What was the minimum?
16,000.
16? Yeah, mine was 27.5.
That's funny. Now it's over 300, right? Well over 300.
I think it's 400.
Yeah.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman. By the way, they scored that a double for Guzman. And Zimmerman takes inside ball one. So a tough row here for John Niese, with Zimmerman, Dunn, and Willingham to try and get through with a runner at second and nobody out. Trying to keep this a 3-1 game.
Let's see if Zimmerman tries to aggressively go the opposite field.
Pulled the base hit his first time up tonight. Grounded out into a fielder's choice to short his second trip.
Straight up in the outfield, Reyes, they're pretty straight up. Castillo's doing the holding on at second base.
2 pitches in there to Zimmerman. It'd be interesting if he sits on a pitch away now from Jonathan.
And he bounces one, and it's 3-0.
That's that little weighted ball that he'll sometimes play catch with.
Isanori Takahashi getting closer and closer.
Right, that last toss. Great form.
So Niese pitching carefully to Zimmerman. You've got Dunn on deck, who had a 3-run homer back in the first inning.
Takahashi's been phenomenal.
And ball 4, Zimmerman's aboard. It's 4 walks given up by Niese tonight. He had walked only 12 batters in 35 innings before this game.
And none in his last start.
So a huge batter here with Dunn coming up. Back in the first inning, Niese fell behind Dunn 3-0.
Well, you want to keep that ball away in those big bombers 3-0, and they got it in because they're going to be looking middle in.
So the reaction from Niese, he said, wow.
Down the line, the ball's going to go here.
And Dunn has done that, you know, against a few people over the years. His Niese comes upstairs to get strike one.
Does it about 40 times a year. That's what he does.
Upstairs.
Well, he hit last year what I think was the longest home run we've seen at Citi Field onto the Shea Bridge out in right center. This one didn't have as much distance, but it counted for 3 runs. And a foul tip held by Barajas, and it's 0-2.
Good fastball in.
Yep, that's where it went. The only one comparable would be the one Mark Reynolds hit in the second deck in left center.
Yes.
That was pretty impressive, too.
Mark Reynolds leading the National League in home runs.
0-2 off the corner. But his teammate is doing okay, too. Kelly Johnson has 10 home runs. There's Manny Acosta up in the bullpen.
Well, Braves West is doing pretty well out there. Adam LaRoche is doing pretty well at first base.
It's a little better hitter's ballpark in Arizona than it is in Atlanta. Dunn reaches for the cutter and fouls it back.
I'm not so sure, Ronnie, that I like Niese dropping down on that cutter. It flattens it out.
It does. And it takes a little of speed off it also.
One-two. Missed the outside corner with a fastball, and it's 2-2.
It's interesting he has not used his curveball once against Adam Dunn.
Why do you suppose that is?
I don't know. That should be a good weapon.
It should be a good weapon. I agree.
good one to buckle his world.
Nobody out of the inning. 2 aboard. 2-2 to Dunn. In there for a call, strike 3. Got him looking at the fastball, and Dunn caught looking for a second time. Just the 3rd strikeout for Niese. Second time he's gotten done.
Fastball away.
Oops. What's he looking for there, Keith?
I would love to climb in his head and know. He's way out in front of the plate. He didn't look at where he's standing, but he certainly got tied up. I think he was concerned about the breaking ball. And you get caught in between. If you're not fixed on one pitch and you're caught in between, you're going to take like that.
So here's Josh Willingham, who has taken a call 3rd strike and flied to center, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Well, Niese would love to get a ground ball here for a double play. Willingham, though, very much a fly ball hitter. Three to 1 Washington, 5th inning. Blown in 1-1.
Yeah, look a little cross up there now, but perhaps not going out.
Guzman led off the inning with a double. Zimmerman walked. 87 pitches now for John Niese as he works in the 5th inning. Curveball, 2-1. Josh Willingham came with Scott Olson in that same trade from Florida 2 winters ago. It's proved to be a very productive deal for Washington. That's the most recognizable name that went the other way, was Emilio Bonifacio. And that's low, ball 3. So now Niese behind on Willingham, 3-1 with a red-hot Pudge Rodriguez on deck. Bonifacio was a Hall of Famer for 2 weeks last year in Florida.
About 500. Can't steal first base.
Big pitch coming here for Niese behind a power hitter Willingham, 3-1. Dunn moves a step toward left center, and Willingham takes the cutter inside for ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So 2 walks in the inning, 5 on the night for John Niese. And Dan Wortham climbing those dugout steps yet again.
Boy, just 2 interesting different kind of philosophies offensively. The Mets have come out and been very, very aggressive, and we've scored 1 run. And the Nationals have just been the opposite. Have been very, very patient working this pitch count for Jonathan Niese.
Get a preview of the upcoming Mets-Marlins matchup, plus inside info on the Yankees series in Detroit with special features, scouting reports, and exclusive interviews on the Baseball Show, presented by Harrah's, every afternoon only on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Dan Wortham was sharing a little bit of a laugh with John Hirschbeck, the home plate umpire, as he exited. Sometimes it's hard to smile when your pitcher's walking the ballpark. Guzman at 3rd, Zimmerman at 2nd, and Willingham at 1st with 1 out. Crisis point for John Niese, down 3-1 in the 5th.
Pudge just got jammed twice now. I wonder if he'll look in first pitch.
Both times he's popped up to Castillo, who made a nice play running out into center field the last time. And he lines one into left center, a base hit. That'll bring home at least 2. Guzman and Zimmerman score. Willingham to 3rd. Pudge Rodriguez a 2-run single to expand the Washington lead to 5-1.
Well, there you go. You've got a pitcher in trouble. Walked 2 batters, is the expression on Jerry's face. But you've got a pitcher with the bases loaded who's walked 2 guys. First ball, fastball hit, get out of the box. Aggressively attack. If he throws you a good curveball, take it.
Well, that's going to be all for John Niese, as Pudge Rodriguez plates a pair. His 14th and 15th runs batted in. Manny Acosta will come out of the bullpen. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. We'll be right back to Citi Field. MVP. Ian Desmond in against Manny Acosta, and the first pitch bounce foul.
Well, Acosta hasn't been on the mound for 8 days now. May 3rd was the last time in Cincinnati when he gave up that home run to Lance Nix.
That was a game winner for the Reds a week ago Monday. Willingham at third, Rodriguez at first with 1 out. 2 runs home here in the 5th. Desmond twice has grounded out to short. And Acosta misses high, 1-1. By the way, on that trivia question, players have won more than one World Series MVP. The World Series MVP was not instituted until 1955.
Yes.
So it's since then. Not a good outing for John Niese. 5 walks really cost him to go with the 6 hits and 4 to third. And 5 runs charged to his record so far. 2 more aboard, and Desmond brings home one of them. In to score comes Willingham. To second goes Rodriguez. An RBI single for Ian Desmond makes it 6-1 Washington.
Well, Desmond, who holds the bat on his shoulder,
almost looks in his stance timid. But boy, he just rips this one.
That was more like ferocity.
Yes, it was.
Boom.
Third hit of the inning. 3 runs are home for the Nats. Now the number 8 hitter Wildy Taveras is already 2 for 2. Single to left, single to right, and takes the slider off the plate.
There's the IOTV pitch differential.
That's right down Broadway and belt high, and that's going to get you in trouble.
In at the knees for a strike. Manny Acosta holding down the roster spot that belonged to Ryota Igarashi, who is trying to come back from a hamstring injury and has been throwing bullpen sessions down in Florida. So he has begun the road back. And with the Met bullpen struggling a bit this last week, nice stop by Barajas, and it's 2-1. Mets certainly will welcome Igarashi's return.
Well, he was a vital cog in that bullpen. I mean, he's got outstanding stuff. He's sorely missed.
The main cogs in the bridge to Francisco Rodriguez have been very heavily used. Both Pedro Feliciano and Fernando Nieve, and you can throw Henry Mejia into that heap as well. And Acosta misses high, and he's behind Taveras, 3-1. Hisanori Takahashi up in the Mets bullpen.
The interesting part, though, is that even though Acosta's holding down that bullpen spot, Igarashi wouldn't be used normally in this part of the game.
Probably would have been Raul Valdez, who had a nice job in long relief a couple of days ago when Oliver Perez took an early exit on Sunday. Fouled off by Taveras, 3-2.
Usually when you have a reliever go over 3 innings like Raul does, you try to give him a couple days off.
Well, Valdez had not been used in, I think, 8 days before that outing on Sunday, much as Acosta had been sitting on the shelf. And that's, you know, running a bullpen is probably the hardest thing in this day and age that any manager has to do in terms of his personnel. The runners go on 3-2, and it's ball 4. The bases are loaded with the pitcher Olsen coming up. So Acosta's come in, giving up a hit and a walk. You know, you've got certain guys that you rely on. Your closer is your closer, and he goes in that specific spot. But the guys leading up to him, most teams only have 1, 2, or if you're lucky, as the Mets do, 3 or 4 guys who you can rely on to get you big outs in tight ball games. And you know, here the Mets have been playing this stretch of 1- and 2-run games every day.
And that works well, that kind of formula. If your starting pitcher goes at least 6 innings, then it's kind of thrown out the window.
But the difficult question is always, when do you back away from those guys? How many days are too many? And we saw with the Nats yesterday, Jim Riggleman stayed away from his top 2 guys in a close game.
That's got to feel like the house money, huh? When you can stay away from a guy who's 13 for 13 and a Clipper who's 6-0 and still get your ball club a win.
Olsen is 0 for 1, and he takes a strike.
But you know, they had a guy, Miguel Bautista, who's a fine veteran pitcher, not afraid of that situation. That was his 40th career save. He was a closer one season when he had 31, so that was a good man to pick.
Nice fallback, so you're not flying naked. Olson with a rip, and it's 1-2. Scott Olson, a lifetime 157 hitter. A chance to build himself an even more substantial lead with Nigel Morgan on deck. Acosta just trying to get himself an out. And the slider misses low and in, 2-2.
He's having trouble with his breaking stuff tonight. Hasn't got one over yet.
Can't go to 3-2 here on the pitcher, so you got to throw a fastball down Broadway or try to hit a corner, but it's got to be a strike.
Good cut. Big cut. He lets it go here. It's not a bad swing.
Now the 2-2 from Acosta. And it's strike 3 called. Olson down looking. And that's the second out of the inning. First out registered by Acosta. Now the bases loaded at 2 out for Nigel Morgan. Here's your Delta 5th inning recap. 3-run homer by Adam Dunn in the first. 3 more runs for the Nats, knocking out John Niese here in the 5th. Jeff Francoeur has driven in the only Met run, as the Nats, who have beaten the Mets 3 out of 4 this year, have built a 5-run lead. So here's Morgan, who's 0 for 2 and a walk, 9th man up in the inning. And he swings and misses at the changeup, 0-1.
Pretty much straight up. Outfield shaded to the opposite field.
And very shallow. Morgan hits one in the gap. He's a triple waiting to happen. He leads the National League with 5 triples.
That's why it was awkward to see that first pitch changeup, because changeup works against your defense. Because Morgan, you want him to be out front. If he's out front, he's going to pull it against the defense.
Yeah, if he hits it down that right field line, that's 3 bases and 3 runs.
And the curveball he missed. So if you're paying attention as a hitter, you know he's having a difficult time. You can go up there, you're going to get a fastball to hit. And that would be a classic guy right there, struggling with his breaking ball. Don't let him get ahead of you with a first pitch fastball. He tries to throw one in for a strike, you're all over it.
2-1 to Morgan. And it's up and away with a fastball, and it's 3-1, and Acosta in danger of forcing in a run. Christian Guzman, who started this inning with a double, is now on deck. Rodriguez at third, Desmond at second, and Taveras at first. Acosta working in relief of Niese. Behind 3-1 on Morgan. Strike 2. So now the merry-go-round will be in motion. All 3 runners will be taking off with 3-2 and 2 out. And Acosta's 3-2, and Morgan belts one to left center field. Toward the gap goes Bay, and he runs it down. Beautiful running grab by Jason Bay to save 2 or 3 runs. And that puts a close to an agonizing 5th inning for Jonathan Niese and the Mets. The Nats tack on 3-2 on a Pudge Rodriguez single and lead 6-1 halfway through. Tomorrow, Mike Pelfrey takes the mound as the Mets take on the Nats in their afternoon series finale here at Citi Field. Mets Nationals coverage begins with Subway pregame tomorrow at 12:30 only on SNY. There are your pitchers tomorrow. Mike Pelfrey off to a tremendous start in 2010, taking on Craig Stammen, who's been up and down for the Nats this year. Scott Olson now has a 6-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Rod Barajas leads off. Rod bounced out to second base his first time up, and he takes ball 1. Gary Matthews Jr. has come out on deck to bat for Manny Acosta, and then Angel Pagan as the Mets try and get something working here in the 5th. They got the leadoff man on in the 3rd, but Olson got a double play. Got 2 men on with 1 out in the 4th, but Davis and Francoeur struck out. And now Olson behind 2-0 on Barajas.
You know, you were mentioning the starters tomorrow, and it's different for all starters, but Mike Pelfrey will have the option on a night game with a day game the next day. He could go home after 4 or 5 innings or so and watch the rest of the game on the TV.
Barajas lifts one to shallow center field. And Morgan coming in.
My
drops
God.
in. What happened?
What is going on?
Looked like Morgan had that ball all the way, and then he just backed off. Not sure why.
Morgan was looking at Guzman. Guzman was looking at Morgan. The right fielder was looking at both of them.
That is not Guzman's ball.
That's the center fielder's ball all the way. We saw the same thing happen here on Sunday with the Giants.
You've got to want that ball.
Once a pop fly single for Barajas, who I think probably should have been at second base as long as that ball was in the air. I know he's not fast, but here's Matthews, still looking for his first hit as a pinch hitter this year. And you know, Gary, I'm sure, knows that he's on notice now after the Mets made a move with their bench last night, bringing up Chris Carter and designating Frank Catalanato for assignment. And really, I mean, when you look at it, the only reason that Matthews is here right now is because they need somebody to back up Angel Pagan in center field, and the Mets just don't have another center fielder.
Fernando Martinez is a guy you talk about, but he has the bad left leg, and again, injuries are marking his minor league season.
Martinez has already had a back problem this year and now a problem with his left leg. 1-1 to Matthews, and he's listed as day-to-day for Buffalo, but that's kind of been Fernando's career so far. And so Matthews gets a respite and an opportunity perhaps to get a few more at-bats and get something working. Olson's 1-1, and Gary watches outside 2-1. Terry Manuel was talking about Matthews today and talking about how good he looked in spring training when he was playing all the time. But Matthews is not a guy who during the halcyon years of his career has been used to sitting around. And now in this role, he has not flourished, at least not yet.
Same could be said when he was in that similar kind of role in Los Angeles with the Angels, but he was at least playing a couple times a week.
Gary was splitting time with Pagan the first 10 days of the season, but then Angel won the job outright. Lined into center field and a base hit. So Matthews gets his first hit as a pinch hitter as a Met. And the Mets have the first 2 men on against Olson in the 5th. So that's got to feel awfully good for Gary.
Pass ball away, held high.
So the Mets have something working here in the 5th. Angel Pagan coming up. Let's check in with Kevin.
And a test for Scott Olson. But talking to Nationals pitching coach Steve McCatty today, he said this is where Pudge Rodriguez comes in so huge, because as the game plan changes, as the game changes, I really lean on him to read things. And he's teaching the pitchers to read things. Example, Tyler Walker last night with that big slider to get Jose Reyes. Rodriguez put it down. Walker didn't flinch. He had the confidence to throw it as that one goes foul. But McCatty said, you know, there's a lot of talk early, certainly about pitchers just following him. Rodriguez has made it known to pitchers, hey, if I'm putting it down, that means I believe you can throw that pitch. But if you don't like it, you've got to shake me off. But McCatty really said, as the game changes, the game plan is kind of like an audible. He said Rodriguez has been great leading the pitching staff in that respect. Here's a test, though, guys.
Well, you can understand how a pitcher might be a little intimidated throwing to a future Hall of Famer. Pagan pops one up, and Morgan will take charge of this one would presume. One away.
You know, Kevin, what was pretty interesting is that you can almost make the same case to when Gary Carter came over here for the Mets with that young pitching staff, that he really was the guy that instituted the game plan and did the reading of the hitters, and he had such a great mind of all these National League hitters, no interleague play in those days, and really was one of the big reasons that you could really just concentrate on executing the pitches as opposed to having your own game plan.
So did you ever shake him off?
Tried to a few times, but he wouldn't take it.
So you're saying he was not quite as forthcoming about telling you to call your own game.
The kid was a little stubborn, definitely.
Castillo's 0 for 2, line to center, bounced out to second.
You know, what I think is interesting about Kevin's report is that Pudge Rodriguez early in his career was always criticized by pitchers of not having the ability to call a baseball game, but you know, as time goes on and the defense becomes just as important as the offense, he has really gotten so much better.
Always have the great arm. Grounded toward the hole, base hit. Barajas is going to have to be held at third by Chip Hale. And so now the Mets have the bases loaded and one out, and a chance to get right back in this game with the heart of the batting order coming up. So Olson in some trouble here after being handed a 5-run lead. And Steve McCatty on the phone to the Nationals bullpen.
Well, he shouldn't be in trouble. There should be 2 outs and runners on first and second, and this whole inning could have been different. And there's going to be a little chat out here as that's McCatty going out to have a chat with Olson.
Well, your first inclination as a pitcher, and especially a young pitcher, although Scott Olson has a lot of time in the big leagues, is that you get angry when your team doesn't make a very simple play like that. But the more years you have in, the quicker you get out of that role and just not think about it.
Tyler Walker up in the bullpen. Well, we witnessed it a few years ago when Olson was with the Marlins in a game at Shea Stadium. He didn't feel Miguel Cabrera had run quick enough after a ball that got past him, and they had a confrontation in the dugout.
And by the way, he was right in that. Cabrera did not run after that baseball.
But you can't let that kind of thing throw you as a pitcher, right?
But I'll tell you, not on the mound, but I'll tell you, you come face to face with. I've been face to face with some really good friends of mine that I thought didn't hustle after the baseball.
So here's Reyes with the bases loaded and one out. The Mets down by 5, but it's only the bottom of the 5th. Plenty of time to come back in this game. Reyes is grounded at third and flying to center 0 for 2.
And Reyes needs a base hit right here in his third position where he's been putting a little pressure on himself.
And way outside from Olson, 1-0. Mets hitting just 185 this year with the bases loaded.
Keith, one of the things, don't be a hero here. Just a base hit is all you need. Just keep that train moving.
Further the rally.
And Reyes skies one to shallow right. A slow runner at third. Barajas won't be able to score on this as Taveras comes in to grab it. Barajas draws the throw right to the cutoff man. And that's a big second out for Scott Olson. So Reyes can't get that run in.
Well, Rick Jose is just struggling here, and you can see frustration.
Well, last night the Mets twice had runners at third with less than 2 out and couldn't get them in. Reyes fails to do it here, and it's left to Jason Bay with the bases loaded and 2 down. Bay is 2 for 2 tonight. Single to left center. He's scored a run. He's stolen a base. He's now hit in 5 straight games, and the Mets hoping these hits start to translate into a little power for Bay, who has been stuck on 1 home run. And Bay goes after the first one, hits it deep to left center, but Morgan has room back in the gap onto the warning track to run it down and end the inning. Bay made a bid, and the wind gave him a little kick out to the warning track, but Morgan with enough room to make the catch and turn the Mets aside in the bottom of the 5th. 6-1. pitching for the second straight day.
Takahashi, his last 3 outings, has thrown 5 scoreless, hitless innings with 6 strikeouts and no walks.
Takahashi comes on to face Christian Guzman, Ryan Zimmerman, and Adam Dunn in the top of the 6th. Well, the Mets have certainly made a bid the last 2 innings to cut into the Nats' lead. Jason Bay giving the ball a ride to deep left center, but in this ballpark, not necessarily the place to go. And the Mets left 3 aboard. Now Guzman leading off in the 6th. He's been on base 3 straight times. 2 walks, and the leadoff double his last time, and now he's on base for a 4th straight time. So Guzman gets the Nats restarted in the 6th. Zimmerman coming up. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. So rain out in Colorado, rain out in Detroit today. I understood it was supposed to snow 4 inches in Denver today, so it may have been a mixed precipitation out. Makes a strike to Ryan Zimmerman. By the way, Chris just showed the highlights of the Marlins and the Cubs. How about Starlin Castro,
yes,
the 20-year-old Cubs shortstop, an absolute Hall of Famer after his first big league game with 6 RBIs, booed in his debut at Wrigley Field last night.
Well, he dogged it after a few balls.
Reyes gets in front of it, gets the out at second. Castillo the relay, not in time. Zimmerman beats the rap at first base.
He deserved to get booed, the young man. A couple balls got by him in the outfield. Runners advanced. He didn't run after a ball.
That's what you were talking about, Ron.
He set a record. Big leagueitis in 1 day. Never seen that happen before. Usually takes at least a week. Nice hard slide here by Christian Guzman. Louis uses that bag as protection. A nice hustle by Zimmerman down the line.
Well, I don't think that young man will do that again, and I don't know why he did it. And I think Mr. Piniella will had him in the office and gave him a little bit of a tongue lashing.
20 years old, awfully young. Dunn bounces 1 foul. Adam Dunn hit a 3-run homer in the first inning to get the Nats off to a flying start. Took a call 3rd strike each of his next 2 at-bats. Josh Willingham on deck.
Take a look at the difference. I watch Dunn's stride as compared to Davis's. He'll wide open stance, but he'll stride forward.
Lifts one to right field, and Francoeur is there calling. And Dunn retired for the 2nd out. Zimmerman going nowhere. So 2 away. And Willingham to the plate.
And I wouldn't want to change anything Ike Davis is doing right now. I mean, let him just be where he's at. He's doing well. He's getting his feet wet in the big leagues. He's doing quite well. You could just watch his progress. Watch Dunn's front foot where he strides right in. And he can cover that outside corner.
I guess the answer with Ike, and it's going to be true with any young major league player, is the pitchers will eventually tell you whether you have to make a change.
Right. I mean, I had to move off the plate off right-handers because that was facing the big league cutter and a big league slider in my hands, and I was getting jammed, and I had to move off the plate 3 inches. I had to make an adjustment. Oh, they're going to run me out of the league.
I mean, some guys go their whole career stepping in the bucket and get away with it. Ronnie Gant comes to mind.
So funny. Ronnie Gant, I'd had a good record against Atlanta, and he came up with his first game. I was pitching, and Mel comes out and says, hey, listen, we got to pound this kid in. He's a young kid, pound him in. Well, I threw that first pitch in, 3-run double down the left field line. Thanks, Mel. Appreciate it. But mostly young kids you can usually try to jam, but not Ronnie.
Willingham walked and scored in the 3-run 5th inning for the Nats. 0 for 2 on the night. Let's see, with the Phillies weathered out in Colorado, if the Nats win tonight, they can get within a game and a half of first place. Hooked in the air to left center field. Back toward the gap goes Pagan, and he makes the running grab to retire the side. So Willingham retired. Good inning for Takahashi. Middle of the 6th, 6-1 Washington. Today.
I didn't know he earned the great already.
No, Pat.
I do.
I'm not wrong, am I?
He's one of the great guys of all time.
Here's David Wright leading off in the home 6th. David has been aboard twice with an infield single off the ankle of Scott Olson, who went down in a heap in the 2nd inning after that ball struck him, but has been able to persevere into the 6th inning with a 5-run lead. And there's a strike to David, 1-1. Wright had 2 hits last night, a hit and a walk tonight, trying to shake off the swings and misses. 2-1. It'll be Wright, then Ike Davis and Jeff Francoeur for the Mets in the home 6th. Each team with 8 hits in the game, but the Mets unable to get the big hit. Had the bases loaded and 1 out in the 5th with their 3 and 4 hitters up, but couldn't score. Line the other way toward the right field line. An extra base hit for David Wright. Taveras runs it down in the corner. And David sliding into second base with a leadoff double. Nice to see David taking the ball the other way. His 6th double of the year.
What was very impressive about that was that it was a 2-1 count. And sometimes in those counts we've seen David get big and try to hit the extra base hit, pulling the ball, but stayed right on that fastball away and hit it where it was pitched and with authority.
That is 4 times in 6 innings now that the Mets have had a leadoff hit, but only once that they've been able to get that guy home. Tough night so far for Ike Davis, a comebacker into a double play, and then a strikeout with 2 men on in the 4th. So 3 at bats for Davis tonight, all with runners in scoring position. And he takes the fastball for a strike. Let's check in with Kevin.
Talking to Jerry Manuel, guys, and asked about Ike Davis. Has it been long enough, and has he done enough to warrant a move up in the order just to try and change things up and get this team scoring runs? And Jerry said, well, it's a good question. The only thing I'll say is it's something if I did, I would want to stick with. And that's the thing there. For me, the skill is certainly there. I mean, I take the game against Jonathan Sanchez last Friday. The 2 home runs, the swings against that guy showed me enough. But it's just the experience, and it wouldn't be something I'd want to juggle with, like moving him up just to try to change things up. Guys?
63 at bats in the major leagues, a very small sample. 1 and 2 now to Davis. The Mets have done tonight, 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position, only a marginal improvement from last night. Mets began the night at 228 with runners in scoring position, 28th in the major leagues. Tyler Walker up again in the Nats bullpen. Raul Valdez getting ready for the Mets. 1-2. Fought off foul.
Good cut. What's the stride here compared to Dunn, remember? Now, see, look at the big difference. Not so bad there.
It's funny because sometimes he strides a lot more noticeably toward the first base dugout. Olsen ahead 1-2. And Davis cracks one to center field, chasing Morgan back. He has room, and he reels it in. Right tags at second, and he'll take third. Davis hit that ball right on the nose, but for the first down of the inning.
We'll take a look again at the stride. He keeps his front shoulder in. Good stride. It's a better stride. Keeps the shoulder in. Let's take a look at the swing now. We're going to freeze it on contact. Right? Okay. That's excellent. The difference, if you're a couple inches closer to that plate or more, looks a little more stride in. But you got more of the barrel of the bat on that ball, although he covered it pretty good.
Well, Scott Olsen's coming out of this game after just 82 pitches, working with a 6-1 lead. But a couple of good swings by the Mets here in the sixth convinced Jim Riggleman it's time to go to his bullpen. So Tyler Walker will come in, and Olsen goes off shaking his head with a 6-1 lead.
And part of being a professional is you never show your manager up if you're upset. Then what you do is after the game, you go into this office of Jim Riggleman, you go, hey, Skip, what were you thinking there? I have plenty left in the tank. Those are the kind of things you do. Never show up your manager. As Tyler Walker comes in, the man with the disappearing slider last night to get Reyes on that 3-2 count.
Struck out two of the three batters he faced last night. Gave up an infield hit to David Wright. Comes in here to face Frank Core with a runner at third. And a strike called, 1-1. Jeff has driven in the only Met run tonight with a second inning single. The Mets now have 9 hits in this game. Olsen taken out after 82 pitches, having allowed 1 run and 9 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts over 5 1/3. And Frank Core chasing the slider, and it's 1-2.
Oh, Walker coming in here with an ERA over 5, and he looks like Ryan Dunn out here.
He's thrown some good sliders, hasn't he, the last couple of nights?
Gee. I think he has better eyesight than Ryan Doran. That's Slayton up in the bullpen. Ryan Doran had those Coke bottle bottom glasses. Chris Carter up in the dugout with a bat in his hand as Francoeur lays off the slider, and it's 2-2.
That's why you saw Slayton getting ready so quickly.
Right at third with one out. Well, 3 times in this series the Mets have had a runner at third with less than 2 out and have not gotten him in. Francoeur trying to break that string. Infield back, and he fouls it off. This is one of those RBI situations that's handed to you, but when you're down by 5 runs in the 6th inning, are you looking for more than just the RBI?
It depends on the hitter. If it's a power hitter, okay, but now with the count 2-2, you got to further the rally.
Yep.
If you're going to hit for any power, it's early in the count.
Walker, who began his career as a Met, 2-2 to Francoeur, and a fly ball to center. That'll get the run in. Wright tagging up at third. Morgan with his 7th put out of the night, and Wright can walk in with the second Met run. Francoeur's driven them both in. It's now 6-2 Washington. That run charged to Scott Olson. Book closed on him. 2 runs, 9 hits over 5 1/3.
Jeff Francoeur said after last night's game, you said, Gary, got to be more aggressive in attack mode. Well, he's listened to his own words. A couple RBIs.
And I think the whole team has. I mean, they've been much more aggressive as the rain starts to fall on cue. It is an official game. Rain was predicted for this evening and into tomorrow, and it has started. Here's Barajas. Now the gift base hit his last time up. 1 ball that Nyjer Morgan didn't catch. This one he drives deep down the left field line, but it hooks and goes foul.
That's his 2nd of the night.
Yep. I'll tell you what, he's going to own more left field foul poles than anybody in the league this year. He hit it twice in Philadelphia. Didn't miss this one by all that much.
Should have played his fade.
Let's check in with Kevin.
Said it last week about Ross. He was telling me after spring training, doing that all spring training, he moved up in the box to try to keep balls like that fair.
Pops this one up. Desmond with the angle. Zimmerman calling, but Desmond calls him off and catches it in fair territory. That was almost a problem for the Nats, but they get the 3rd out. Olson will head off to the clubhouse as the Mets are down 6-2 after. Check out the results of our Toyota text poll. We asked you, should the Mets keep Oliver Perez into the rotation? would say it's a rather lopsided decision for the fans. But he's staying in the rotation, at least for the moment.
Well, you know, I've heard people ask me about Takahashi. Should he be moved into the starting staff? And why would you take a given, which is one of the strengths of your bullpen, and make him a starting pitcher? If it wasn't for Takahashi, he saved a lot of the Mets' bacon early in the season.
Pudge Rodriguez leads off in the 7th and takes that slow curve for ball 1. Pudge had a 2-run single that knocked John Niese out of the game in the 5th inning. Drove in the 4th and 5th Washington runs. Pudge 1 for 3 tonight, 5 for 7 in the series. And takes a fastball for a strike, 1-1. Takahashi has come in, as he always seems to, throwing strikes, having command of all his pitches.
There's not any secret about pitching, right, Ron?
Right.
Just throw strikes.
Well, a lot of guys, when they work in relief, find it hard to keep command of more than 2 pitches. Grounded to third for David Wright to handle. And Pudge retired for the first out.
Well, he cut his teeth in the Japanese league, so he doesn't know that adage that it's hard to maintain all 3 pitches.
But he's been a starter for most of his career, and I think that generally the theory is that when you go to the bullpen, you lose a pitch. Is that fair?
I think that if you're a power pitcher, yes, I think it's not bad to be a 2-pitch pitcher if you're a power pitcher. Takahashi is not that. He's a guy that has to move to be effective. He's got to have 3 pitches working.
And so the question is, when you're working out of the bullpen and you don't get to throw bullpen sessions to stay sharp, how do you keep all your pitches in the kind of command that you need?
Yeah, well, that's the hard thing, because you don't throw off the mound. You're only throwing on flat ground.
Out to center field off the bat of Desmond, chasing Pagan back right near the edge of the track to reel it in for the second out.
Well, I applaud Takahashi, because he is not. Sometimes that can be used as a crutch by bullpen guys. That it's hard to maintain your stuff. He just comes out here. To me, when he's pitching, it's like you see Doug Slayton warming up. You know, some guys come out of the pen and they're playing checkers, and some guys are playing chess, and he's playing chess.
You talk about a guy who's a starter too. The transition, the instant transition.
Frankie Rodriguez, preparation for. How many innings do you think it takes to get all that stuff off?
Don't worry, folks. He's not hurt.
Well, Tavares takes a fastball for a strike.
Comes off very quickly, I'll tell you. It's nice though. Those heating pads make your arm feel nice and loose. I mean, it's nice tonight. It's not like the last couple of days when it was really cool.
Tavares with a rip of the fastball, and it's 0-2. Willie Tavares has been on base 3 straight times, 2 singles and a walk. He hasn't done anything anywhere else, but he's loved playing at Citi Field this year.
Yeah.
Had the 4 RBI game back in April, 2 hits today. He only has 6 hits this season. And a check swing just off the play with a changeup.
We used to make fun of Ed Lynch. We went into Philadelphia in an April game. He gave up 2 home runs and 5 RBIs to Jeff Stone, and went back there in August. He had 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. So he'd gotten all the damage against Eddie Lynch in April.
I remember that.
Jeff Stone was a lot like Willie Tavares. He could run. Hit to shortstop. 1 hopper for Reyes to handle. Has to gun it quickly to get the speedy Tavares to end the inning. 6 straight outs for Takahashi. 7th inning stretch, 6-2 Washington. uphill all night long after Adam Dunn's first inning 3-run homer off John Niese. Alex Cora will pinch hit for the Mets, leading off in the bottom of the 7th against Tyler Walker. And with Cora announced into the game, here comes Jim Riggleman to make the pitching change. This is a rule that needs to be changed. Seriously, once you go to the mound to start the inning, you should have to face a batter.
I agree. Particularly with 5 benchmen.
So Walker will exit. Doug Slayton, the left-hander, will come in to face Cora. 6-2 Washington in the 7th. We'll be right back.
Oh. Sorry, Ron.
Curveball.
Alex Cora will stay in to face him. Alex had a base hit coming off the bench last night when Jose Reyes was ejected in the 8th inning. Alex had a 2-out single in the 9th that gave the Mets a chance against Miguel Batista. It'll be Cora, then Angel Pagan, and Luis Castillo as the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the 7th. And Slayton throws a letter high strike, 1-1. Scott Olson went 5 1/3, allowed 2 runs, 9 hits. Tyler Walker got the final 2 outs in the 6th. And now Slayton trying to hold the lead. Different bullpen alignment for Jim Riggleman than last night when he stayed away from his top 2 relievers. Matt Capps and Tyler Clippard. They are both available for the game tonight. Slayton, the former Arizona Diamondback, spent 4 years in the desert.
No wonder he's so thin.
This has got to be, for a manager, the most irritating when you bring a reliever in from the bullpen with the threat of a walk here with a 4-run lead.
Cora's worked it to 3-1. And Alex watches wide ball 4, and so the Mets get the leadoff man on for the 5th time in 7 innings. They've not been able to make the most of it so far.
They're not going to have much patience with Slayton, and they just can't let the Mets get back in this game. This is a big game for Washington to win. And you've got a left-hander against a left-hander, and he walks the first batter with a 4-run lead.
They'll go to Clippard for 2 innings if they have to, with Capps in the 9th. So here's Pagan, who's 0 for 3 today. 2 fly balls to center and a double play grounder. Brian Bruni, who pitched last night in the 8th inning, is up in the 7th tonight. And Pagan rips one into left field, and the Mets have the first 2-man on in the 7th. So the Mets continue to mount rallies. They continue to get base runners. Now they just need that big bop to make something happen. Luis Castillo comes to bat, and if Castillo can get aboard, the Mets will get the tying run to the plate. Steve McCanny's going to take a trip to the mound to talk to Slayton before he works on Castillo.
And a very slow walk to give Bruni time to get loose.
Castillo, remember, had an RBI single against Slayton last night in the 7th inning as he pulled one into left field. Louis has had a fine season as a right-hand batter. He's hitting over 300 from this side of the plate. Not quite as effective in his slap-hitting left-handed mode this year.
Making the umpire go out and break up the tea party.
Jim Riddleman trying to figure out whether to stay with Slayton past Castillo. You've got Reyes, Bay, and Wright behind him as he checks out his lineup card. Raul Valdez up in the Mets bullpen, with Takahashi having left for a pinch hitter after 2 shutout innings. Castillo 1 for 3 on the night. He's hit the ball hard twice. And the curveball in for a strike, 0-1. Well, we've been mentioning several times tonight how poorly the Mets have hit this year with runners in scoring position. They are not the worst in the league. They are 3rd from the bottom in the majors. 2 for 10 tonight. And it's 0-2 to Castillo. Those are the National League numbers. Mets are at the bottom of their league. But there are 2 American League teams with lower averages. To Castillo inside. Oh, yeah, tough man to strike out. Only David Eckstein has a lower strikeout percentage in the National League this year. Broken back grounder. Guzman has to wait for it. Gets the out at second. The relay by Desmond in time for the double play. On a slowly hit broken back grounder, the Nats nonetheless able to turn the 4-6-3 double play. 2 out of the inning.
Well, he stayed inside on Louis. Got ahead 0-2 on 2 curveballs and then came back-to-back fastballs in. Tied him up. Nice turn by Desmond. Watch his footwork. Slides out of the way of the slide. Strong throw.
So 2 on the runner at third. Now Jose Reyes takes the breaking ball for a strike. Reyes is 0 for 3, grounds it out and flied out twice. Mets now 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position tonight.
They've got 10 hits, but they've hit into 3 double plays.
Reyes gets tied up. Well, here's a little different stat that we're going to show you now. The gap between overall batting average and runners in scoring position average. The best in the majors, Tampa Bay riding high.
Yeah.
Arizona, a last place team. So what does it mean?
We'll look up their pitching.
That's who will look at anybody out.
Yes, they're in the bottom. They got an ERA, team ERA of 5.55.
That's a problem.
Yes. That is a serious problem.
Well, it's an outstanding hitter's ballpark in Arizona. That has something to do with it. Jason Bay on deck. Two under Reyes. And a check swing. Did he go around? He did. Oh, boy. First base umpire James Hoy with the call, and it's 2-2.
No argument from Jose.
A little jumpy. Yeah, boy, way off balance, wasn't he? Jose's another guy right side of the plate, kind of steps in the bucket. He's always done that.
Breaking ball popped up. Right center field. Morgan over. Busy night for Morgan in the outfield. His 8th putout. And the Mets are turned aside again after getting the first 2 men on. in the 8th inning. By the way, there's at least one person in the ballpark tonight who has won a World Series MVP.
That's right, Mr. Levo.
With the Marlins in 1997. He was the NLCS MVP and the World Series MVP that year.
They struck out 15 Braves that afternoon.
Game 6, final game of that LCS. Broken back grounder, base hit for Alberto Gonzalez. Bat went one way, ball went the other, and Gonzalez aboard to lead off in the 8th inning. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin is standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. All right, thanks, Chris. Meanwhile, in Pittsburgh tonight, Johnny Cueto is taking the mound for the bottom of the 9th, working on a one-hit shutout for the Reds against Pittsburgh. Here's Nyjer Morgan, 0 for 3 and a walk, and he takes a strike.
Call that a forfeit. Forfeit shutout.
9-0.
Yep.
By the way, Livan Hernandez, World Series MVP. There's also at least one brother of a World Series MVP in the ballpark tonight. Wearing a Washington Nationals uniform.
You got me.
The hitting coach of the Nats is Rick Eckstein, right, whose brother David won a World Series MVP with the Angels.
Remember, they gave him for the MVP that god-awful yellow car. I won't say what kind of car it was.
It looks just like David, who is playing in San Diego this year.
Boy, San Diego's been a great story, haven't they?
19-12 starting the day today, first place in the West.
I always knew they'd have their pitching, but they've been hitting in the clutch like we showed.
And they have their pitching without their best pitcher. Chris Young's been on the disabled list. But Matt LeBlanc, who's going tonight, 2-0, 1.16 pitching against Barry Zito, 5-0, 1.49 in San Francisco.
Yeah, they've had some young pitchers. Clayton Richard, and they got a trade from Chicago. Matos has been very fine.
In there for a call, strike 3. And Morgan down looking.
Good pitch. Fastball in with 2 strikes, ties him up, and that is a strike. Ooh.
You'd feel even that. Oh boy, I'd be a little hot.
Nyjer looks a little dubious. 5 strikeouts tonight for Met pitching. All 5 have been on call third strikes.
They wouldn't have rung me up on that one.
No, well, your reputation preceded you.
1 out and 1 on. Here's Guzman, who's been on base 4 straight times, 2 walks, a double, and a single. Guzman has just been money as a right-hand batter this year. Started the night hitting .385 from this side. Jonathan Niese is on the hook in this game. He went 4 1/3, allowed 6 runs, 6 hits, hurt himself with 5 walks. Curveball for a strike. 1-1. Manny Acosta got a couple outs in the 5th inning after giving up a run scoring hit to Desmond, and then Takahashi with 2 scoreless. Grounded slowly, and Wright's going to have to go to first with it, and gets Guzman for the 2nd out as Gonzalez moves to 2nd. So the first time Guzman's been retired tonight. And Ryan Zimmerman will bat with 2 out and a runner at 2nd.
Probably not going to bat.
Not going to bat is right.
He'll walk in, and Valdez got to get the left-handed Dunn.
So Barajas puts up 4 fingers, and they'll give the intentional pass to Zimmerman. So Dunn, who already has a 3-run homer tonight off a left-hander, will come up with 2 men on in the 8th.
I was going to say, not many times you walk the hitter preceding a guy who has a 3-run home run in a game.
Well, Dunn delivered the keynote address tonight in the 1st inning after a walk to Guzman and a single by Zimmerman. Niese fell behind Dunn 3-0, and rather than an automatic strike, it was a well-struck ball into the right field seats. And there's ball 4. So Zimmerman takes the free pass. That's 7 walks tonight for Met pitching. 148 for the year, the most in the National League. And here's Dunn, who after the 3-run homer struck out twice and flied out. 1 for 4 on the night.
A little more interesting matchup here. Jonathan Niese had enough fastball to throw it up in the zone past Dunn. Raul Valdez does not throw as hard as Jonathan. Probably have to use the breaking ball more.
Two out and 2 on, and Dunn takes a fastball for a strike. Dunn now with 7 home runs for the year. Josh Willingham, who has 6, is on deck. Mets about hit the Nats tonight 10-9. They out-hit them last night 12-11 and fell by a run. And a fastball strike. And so Valdez throwing 2 fastballs past Dunn. And now he can throw him anything he wants.
Dunn's taken a lot of fastballs tonight after that first inning home run.
And another fastball. And he fouls this one down the left field side. Now to play. How about this line of attack from Mr. Valdez?
I like it. He's being aggressive. But hit the 0-2 count. If he does go to a breaking ball, bounce it.
We're playing him deep in the outfield, of course. A big power hitter.
Triangle on the right side with Cora playing short fielder. Tapper foul. 4 straight fastballs from Valdez to Dunn.
All the way. A little up and in might be a nice pitch.
Johnny Cueto has completed a 1-hit shutout for the Cincinnati Reds, winning 9-0 in Pittsburgh. Second win of the year for Cueto, and the Reds have now won 4 straight. They're starting to move in on the Cardinals, who have been stumbling a little bit. Now just 2.5 behind. Bounced it, and Barajas couldn't stop it. It goes up on the screen. And the runners move to second and third. So a wild pitch for Valdez, and now 2 in scoring position.
Well, he bounced it, but this isn't even close. This is hits in the other batter's box.
So 1 and 2 to Dunn. And Wright's got to stay a little closer to third base with Gonzalez there now. Don't want him to get a walking lead down the line toward home. 1-2 from Valdez. Bounced into the shift. Cora's going to have to come in to grab it. Makes a quick toss and just gets Dunn at first base. Nats are out of the top of the 8th. That's Bay, Wright, and Davis to try and cut into a Sports Night.
Gary, thank you. More coming from inside the Mets clubhouse. Plus, LeBron James, you've got to hear the offer that one local...
Gary, Brian Bruni got a couple of outs last night for the Nats and comes on to pitch the bottom of the 8th.
Bruni's one of those guys pitched last year for the Yankees. Has a good fastball, 92-93. It's his slider that he doesn't always control, but when he's got that going, he's awfully tough.
Jason Bay has hit the ball well tonight. 2 for 3, and the one time he was retired in the 5th inning with the bases loaded sent Nyjer Morgan back on the warning track in deep left center to reel in his drive. It'll be Bay, then Wright and Davis for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. And Jason takes outside. It's 2-0. Scott Olson stands to get the win for the Nats. Went 5 1/3, allowed 2 runs, 9 hits. Tyler Walker 2/3, and Doug Slayton a scoreless inning. And now Bruni in the 8th. Ground ball up the middle, and Bay has his 3rd hit of the night. And Jason Bay, over the last 5 games now, 8 hits in 20 at-bats, a 400 club.
Well, this might get him going. It's been a hard slog for him so far this year. Only 1 home run on the season. But this 3 for 4 entered the game hitting 248, so that's going to get him up in the 260 range, up in the 260s.
Getting innings started hasn't been a Met problem tonight. 6 times in 8 innings now they've had the leadoff man on. David Wright's been on base 3 straight times. Infield hit, walk, and then opposite field double his last trip, and he takes a strike. David, each of the last 4 years, has put up at least 25 homers and 40 doubles. Not the last 4, but the 4 years prior to that.
He's in good company.
Fastball strike, and Bruni gets ahead of him 0-2. Jason Bay, his second 3-hit game as a Met. And boy, do the Mets need him to get going. And you hope that the base hits lead to some longer hits. Mets now have 11 hits tonight. And David again goes toward the right field corner. Taveras can't get it, and it goes against the wall. Bay heads to 3rd, Wright to 2nd. Taveras' throw off line, and David Wright has his 2nd consecutive opposite field double. He's 3 for 3 on the night.
Good stuff right here from David to pitch down the pipe. Outer half going that way all the way. So 4 and 5 hitters with 6 hits.
Tyler Clippard gets up in the Nats bullpen. Bud Rodriguez trudging out to the mound. So is Steve McCatty. So Bruni, who got 2 outs last night, has given up 2 straight hits tonight. And the Mets need just 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate here at the bottom of the 8th. Clippard, who has been a win machine out of the bullpen.
Yes, he has.
Getting ready in a hurry as Bruni struggles. And another chance for Ike Davis in an RBI situation. He's had 3 of them tonight and is still waiting to come through. Here's your IOTV pitch differential.
Wants this outside. This ball will be lower, though, than the mitt of Pudge Rodriguez, but caught middle of the plate.
A lot of plate, big time middle of the plate. Nice hitting by David.
So the Mets with another chance to crack through. 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position tonight. The Mets had 2 runs and 12 hits last night. They have 2 runs and 12 hits tonight. Davis is 0 for 3. Infield back. And he grounds one to short. That'll get a run in. Tough chance for Desmond, and he throws it offline. Davis is safe. Bay is in. It's 6-3, and the Mets will get the tying run to the plate. Like Desmond made that play a little harder than he had to.
Well, I think what happened is it really jammed Ike, and it had a lot of spin on it.
He didn't have to field it that way.
And he didn't have to throw it as quick.
He could have set himself. It's just not a good play. It's a routine ground ball. He fielded it on the run, and it put his body going across towards home plate, and that's why he threw it away. Very poorly done.
6th error of the year for Desmond. It's an RBI for Davis. And now Frank Core will come up as the tying run. Jim Riggleman will make a pitching change and bring Tyler Clippard, his 8th setup man, into the game to replace Bruni. Clippard in a 6-3 game in the bottom of the 8th. Once again, they're in the position to try and get one.
Well, they're getting their hits. I think the problem is that the first 3 hitters in the lineup tonight were 2 for 12 with a couple of hitting in a couple of double plays. So there haven't been a lot of people up to the guys that have got the hits right and Dave.
Three piece.
But they're right back in this. One big hit gets them back in the game.
Jeff Francoeur has driven in 2 runs tonight. First and second and nobody out. And he swings at the first pitch from Clippard and fouls it off. The last time we saw Tyler Clippard, he had one of the best relief outings of the year.
It was unbelievable. You can see part of that is the 29 strikeouts in 23 2/3 innings. He went 3 innings here in April 10th. Struck out 7, gave up 1 hit, no walks.
Mets with a run home here in the 8th, down by 3 as Francoeur stands in. And he takes below the knees, 1-1.
Clippard led the Nationals relievers in strikeouts last season, too.
Brian Bruni gave up 2 hits and then had the error made behind him by Desmond. Mets have hit into 3 double plays tonight. Breaking ball down, and it's 2-1 to Francoeur with Rod Barajas standing on deck. Mets were down 6-1 in this game. They got a run in the 6th and a run here in the 8th. The Mets have not come from more than 2 runs down to win a game this year. But they have kept on battling tonight after falling behind before they ever came to bat. And Francoeur banks one off the home plate umpire John Hirschbeck. He took a shot.
Oh, that's the collarbone almost right there.
Taking a lot of those hits over the years. Ray Ramirez, the Mets trainer, is going to make sure that Hirschbeck's okay.
And you know what? You've got an important part of the ball game right now. If I'm the pitcher, I'm hot. I want to throw the ball. John is tough. He said, I'm good. I'm fine. Let's go.
Second base umpire Wally Bell came in as well to make sure that Hirschbeck was okay. Now it's 2-2 to Frank Gore. Struck him out with a high fastball. So Clippard picks up where he left off in his last Citi Field appearance. That's the first out of the inning.
Well, he's got a good overhand hook. He has a good changeup. But the one thing with all those arms and legs coming at you, he might only throw 90-91, but it seems to jump on you, and it does there at Frank Gore.
He got beat.
So 1 out. Runner still at first and second for Rod Barajas, who has a pop fly single in 3 at bats tonight. First career at bat for Barajas against Clippard. Alex Cora's in the 9-hole. He's on deck. Pitcher's in the 2 spot right now. And Barajas tried to hold up on that breaking ball that bounced 5 feet in front of the plate, but he went around. Wow.
I thought he went around too, but we'll have to see.
I don't think I've ever seen a hitter get called for a swing on a pitch this far in front of the plate.
Well, he's looking for number 1.
No, I was wrong. I think he held back now.
That's a ball.
Yes, it is.
Well, Barajas, the hitter, who often finds himself behind in the count because he's so aggressive. But he's been able to fight from behind and hit home runs this year. A home run here could tie the game. And Clippard might have crossed up his catcher that time. Pudge was moving away. 1-1.
Well, it was a spinner that didn't move.
Chris Carter, nicknamed the Animal during spring training by Jerry Manuel, stalking to the end of the dugout.
Mr. Intensity.
Getting ready for his first Mets at bat, he hopes. He's hit in this ballpark before. 1-1 to Barajas, and a high fly ball to left field. That goes Willingham to the warning track, near the wall. It's off the wall and bouncing away from him. In to score comes Wright. Right behind him is Davis. He's in. A 2-run double for Rod Barajas, and it's a 6-5 ball game. Barajas comes through with a big hit again.
You said the ball doesn't carry here at Citi Field.
Well, Willingham here kind of misplayed this ball. He's not the best of outfielders. I don't know if David thought that was a home run. Boy, you sure can't assume it is in this ballpark, David.
Chip Hill waving the 2 runners home. Now the tying run at second base. Mets have 3 runs home here in the 8th inning. And Alex Cora up for the second time. He walked as a pinch hitter in the 7th, stayed in the game at second base. Time was asked for. All 3 runs in this inning are charged to Brian Bruni. 1 of the 3 will be unearned.
Just didn't get it up enough. Missed on the opposite side of the plate.
Cora fouls off the first pitch fastball.
Good hitting by Barajas.
So 13 hits for the Mets tonight, and that's the biggest one of the lot.
One of those games that you look back on in July or August or September and go, remember that game? Down 6-1, came back.
Jim Riggleman hoping that Clippard can get it to his closer, Matt Capps. Only 1 out in the 8th. And Cora drops down a beauty of a bunt. Clippard has no play.
Wow.
Sneak attack by Cora, and now the tying runs at third with 1 out.
Beautiful bunt by Cora.
Zimmerman playing back. Well done.
Oh, heady play by Cora right here. You're going to give it to me? Got to take it.
Beautiful bunt.
So now the Mets are a fly ball away from tying the game with Angel Pagan coming up. Pagan is 1 for 4, had a base hit his last time up. And Chris Carter has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher behind Pagan. Three runs are home in the inning. Runners at the corners and 1 out. And Angel socks one foul. 0-1. Barajas is at third. It would take a pretty good fly ball to get him in. Cora representing the potential lead run at first base. Clippers face 3 batters and given up 2 hits. A long double by Barajas and a short single by Cora. Pagan winds one into right field. It falls for a hit, and the Mets have tied the game. Barajas comes in on Pagan's RBI single. It's 6-6 in the 8th.
Very clutch. Good pitch. Little slider down and in. Nicely done by Angel.
Inning after inning after inning, the Mets have been in position. They finally cracked through in the 8th. A season-high 15 hits for the Mets, and now a chance to get the lead with Chris Carter's first at-bat as a Met. K-Rod up in the bullpen, ready to pitch the 9th. Steve McCatty making another trip to the mound here in the 8th inning.
Well, it's because Chris Carter's just been brought up. They're going to go over the scouting report with Tyler Clippard. Bautista getting up. Got the save in last night's ball game.
Well, Chris Carter was red hot in Buffalo. He had an 11-game hitting streak at the time of his promotion, hitting .409 over the 11 games. Tough man to strike out. Hitting .336 overall in AAA. And remember last year, Carter came here for the first ever exhibition game when the Mets played the Red Sox. He was with Boston at the time, and he had the first RBI in Citi Field history.
Did a double off the wall, didn't he?
That's got him as the player to be named later when they dealt Billy Wagner to the Red Sox. And now he gets his first at bat as a Met with the game on the line in the bottom of the 8th. 4 runs are home in the inning. 2 on and 1 out. Cora the go-ahead run at second. Pagan at first.
Right on that dish, Keith.
Yeah, big choke up too on the bat.
Carter had an outstanding spring training for the Mets. And he watches the first one. Slider on the inside corner, 0-1.
A lot of tape around that knob, and he chokes up.
So more like a hockey stick, into a hockey stick.
And Carter pulls one down the right field line, base hit. Cora comes around with the lead run. Pagan digging for third. He'll be held up there. Chris Carter with a pinch hit RBI double in his first at bat as a New York Met, and the Mets lead it 7-6.
Boy, is this what this ball club needed?
A barrage of big hits in the 8th.
Up, out over the plate, and don't tell me one thing. Chris Carter was nervous, and boy, that'd take a load off right there. Look at Pagan. Pagan puts the brakes on here.
You know, Keith, the ability to choke up on that bat is the only way he got to that baseball. That short stroke.
The animal roars into second with a pinch hit double. And he gives the Mets their first lead of the night after the Mets trailed all night long. A 5-run 8th inning, matching the Mets' biggest inning of the year, and still only 1 out. And Jose Reyes will be the 9th man up in the inning. He'll face a new pitcher. Tyler Taylor Clippard, who's been the workhorse out of that Washington bullpen, has faced 5 batters, given up 4 hits. And Jim Riggleman will pull him in favor of Miguel Batista. A big inning working for the Mets. Chris Carter making his mark in his first Mets at bat. Mets up 7-6. We'll be right back. Now Miguel Batista will try and pick up the pieces for the Nats.
He picked up the pieces last night for them when he got his first save. Subbing for Matt Capps.
Gave up a home run to Angel Pagan, but held on for the win. Now Reyes, who's taken an 0 for 4 tonight. The infield comes in with Pagan at third and Carter at second and 1 out. 5 runs are home here in the bottom of the 8th. And Reyes takes low for ball 1. Jason Bay, who began this uprising with a base hit, is now on deck. RBIs for Davis, 2 for Barajas, Pagan, and Carter here in the 8th inning. And Reyes takes ball 2. Well, the Mets over the first 7 innings, continuance of last night, but here in the 8th, they have found the range. 4 for 6 in RBI situations, and now they're going to walk Reyes intentionally and set up the double play with Bay coming up. And Batista almost tossed one to the backstop. So Bay, who began the inning with a base hit up the middle, now comes up with the bases loaded and 1 out, trying to put the hammer down. These runs belong to Raul Valdez, who now is in line for his first major league victory. Francisco Rodriguez getting ready to try and close it, but the Mets looking to get him some insurance before he does. So Valdez sitting pretty. And now Bay up for the second time in the inning. 3 for 4 on the night. And he takes low for ball 1. 39-year-old Miguel Batista. Pagan at third, Carter at second, and Reyes at first with 1 out. One 0 to Bay. Outside, ball 2. So Batista will give up a couple of hits in the 9th inning before striking out Bay to end the game. Now behind in the count 2-0. Let her rip. A swing and a miss to the fastball, 2-1.
Ball 3 right there. He's mad at himself. A little anxious.
Batista wants to get you to hit a ball on the ground, so you got to have the pitch above the knees.
They can elevate. 3-1. And with a slider on 2-1. So now Bay in a prime spot.
If it's a fastball count right here, beautiful hitters count. Just don't try to do too much with it. When you're struggling, don't look at the grand slam here. Look to just up the middle.
3-1. Inside and high, ball 4, and it forces home the 6th run of the inning. Dunn trots in. Day with an RBI walk. 8-6 New York. This is now the biggest inning of the year for the Mets, and there's still only 1 out. Rooney began the inning, didn't retire anybody. Clippard faced 5 batters, retired only 1. Batista's now walked his first 2 hitters. And now David Wright, who had an opposite field double earlier in this 8th inning. He's 3 for 3 tonight. And David lays off the slider, ball 1.
Good matchup for David. Pitcher that throws low into low strikes. That's into David's zone.
That's with 8 runs and 16 hits. And a chance for more. 1-0 from Batista. And it's outside ball 2. So Batista having big time problems finding the strike zone.
Wow. This game's just blowing up on the Nationals.
Remember that Jim Riggleman pulled his starter Scott Olson after 5 1/3 after just 82 pitches. 2-0 to Wright. Little tapper toward third. It goes foul. David swinging at ball 3. Now it's 2-1. And I'm sure Riggleman figured with his 2 ace relievers available tonight, Clippard and Capps, that he was safe in doing that, but Clippard didn't have it tonight.
Well, I think that the mistake of taking out Olson, because, that inning wasn't caused by him. It was caused by a bad defensive play in center field. Let him stay in there.
Wright chases one off the plate. It's 2-2. And David has taken the ball the other way his last 2 at bats. This time trying to muscle up.
That's a good slider there.
Each of his last 2 at bats, David's doubled into the right field corner. Now it's 2-2 with the bases full. And he goes down swinging at the fastball. First time Wright's been retired tonight. That's the 2nd out of the inning. A long time in coming.
Big cut by David. Meant to be away, and it's a perfect sinker down and in. Huh, Ronnie?
Yep. A lot of movement on that pitch.
So 2 out, and now Ike Davis will be the 12th man up in the inning. Davis, with runners at 2nd and 3rd, hit a ground ball that Ian Desmond made more difficult than he needed to, and threw it wide of first for an error. Davis got credit for the first RBI of this inning. Now bases loaded, 2 down. And he pulls one foul. Carter, who had the pinch hit double that gave the Mets the lead, is at 3rd. Reyes at 2nd, and Bay at 1st with 2 out. 6 runs home in the inning. The Mets last year had an 8-run inning against the Braves back in August. Oh, 2 to Davis. Jeff Francoeur would be next. Now the 0-2. And it's down 1-2. Batista, the 6th Nationals pitcher of the night. The first 2 relievers, Walker and Slayton, got the job done. The last 3, Bruni, Clifford, and Batista, have not. Biggest inning of the year for the Mets, as they try and stage their biggest comeback victory of the season. They were down 6-1 in this game when they came to bat in the 6th. Here's the 1-2. And a drive in the air deep down the right field line, right toward the pole. That ball is foul. Just foul. Ike Davis thought for sure it was fair. The first base umpire, James Hoy, called it foul. We've talked about this before. The foul poles here at Citi Field are not particularly high, and this one went over the foul pole. And it was up to the umpire's judgment to decide whether it was fair or foul. And the home plate umpire, John Hirschbeck, is walking down toward the first base umpire, James Hoy, who's in conversation with Jerry Manuel. And I wonder whether we can get a review of this and whether he can even tell enough on a replay to be able to make a determination.
Yes, I don't think you can.
I don't. The problem is the ball is over the pole.
Right. I think he made the right call.
Yeah, that would appear to indicate that it's foul.
Yep.
But it's, you know, again, with the ball going over the pole like that, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe that it would be reviewable. I mean, they're going to get the umpires together. But, you know, James Hoy is the closest guy to the ball. So, I mean, you got to trust his vision.
They're going to go take a look. I don't believe this.
Well, they're going to look. And, you know, I don't know whether, first of all, even whether they think it's fair or foul, I don't think it's one of those calls where you can really see enough on a replay to know for sure to overturn it.
Well, when we pick up the ball, we don't know how far that's been over the foul pole anyways. We don't know if that's a 30 feet past or 3 feet past.
But it's one of the things we noted when this ballpark opened last year, that the foul poles here are not as high as they are in some other ballparks. Certainly not as high as they were at Shea Stadium. And that's one of the first times that that's ever come into play.
And I don't think that you get that kind of reaction from the young Davis unless he 100% absolutely believed that it was a home run.
I just don't see it. That's the best angle. It is not enough.
Here's your Coors Light freeze cam. And this is the best view that we can give.
And that's behind the pole.
Yeah, that's the problem. The ball is behind the pole.
Unless we had a camera just sitting right.
Well, like Davis, incredulous, he thought for sure that he had a home run. Vacates while Miguel Batista throws in some warm-up pitches here. So Davis that close to a grand slam, and the umpires are now in reviewing it. But it's hard for me to believe that they're going to see anything that is going to give them enough definitive evidence that would cause them to change their mind.
Well, Razor thought it was a home run. Razor Shines, first base coach. And Ike Davis thought it was a first base home run also. But the only guy that really matters maybe in this is going to be James Hoy.
Well, 3 of the umpires have gone inside for the review. Mets have been very fortunate in reviewable plays over the last couple of years. Last year they had 5 straight reviews go in their favor, including that memorable Omir Santos home run in Boston and the one that Daniel Murphy hit off the subway sign here at Citi Field.
Here they come back out. All right, suspense.
And no call, so that indicates that they're not going to change it. So, Ike Davis, and that's a foul ball call. So it is not a home run. It is indeed a foul ball. So as we suspected, there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it.
Agreed.
And again, that's because the foul pole is not high enough to be able to make a determination. So Davis will step back in with a 1-2 count. And again, here's the best view we had. So Batista threw in a few warm-up pitches during the delay. The count is 1-2 on Davis with the bases loaded and 2 out. The Mets with 6 runs home in the bottom of the 8th. Their biggest inning of the year to take an 8-6 lead. And Davis will get himself refocused. Carter is at third, Reyes at second, and Bay at first. Davis the 12th man up in the inning. And it's in the dirt. 2-2.
He better stay away from that down and in and not like Davis. That is throwing right into death. Davis loves that ball down and in.
Two from Batista. And a high pop-up, shallow center field. On comes Morgan. And he puts it away to end the inning. 12 men came to bat in a 6-run 8th inning. The biggest inning of the year for the New York Mets as they come from behind. Barras with 2 runs batted in with a double off the wall, and the barrage continued. 8-6 New York going to the ninth. By Chevy. Find your nearest dealer on ChevyOffers.com or call 877-64-CHEVY. Francisco Rodriguez with a save opportunity in the 9th.
Well, you see Francisco with his 15th game. 19 strikeouts in 15 2/3 innings so far this year. That paltry ERA.
Through 2 scoreless innings against the Giants his last time out in the game on Saturday, which wound up an 11-inning Mets win. Josh Willingham leads off in the 9th inning for the Nats, who had themselves a 6-1 lead tonight, but the Mets with a run in the 6th and 6 in the 8th, and a chance for their biggest comeback victory of the season. Last time the Mets came from 5 runs down to win July of last year in Pittsburgh. And Willingham lifts one to shallow right, backing up his core to make the call. 1 away. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda standing by with Lincoln Mercury post-game live. I don't know about you guys. I'm happy to pat Bobby on the back.
Yes, why not?
And pat that man on the back, too. What a big moment. Not his first stint in the major leagues, but he had just 23 at-bats over 2 seasons with the Red Sox. And getting a chance tonight, first at-bat of the year and a big spot, and he comes through. Pudge almost knocks Reyes over backwards with that hard grounder. Reyes makes the play, and the Nats are down to their final out of the night. The Washington team that had been flying high gets knocked back on their heels just a tad by that huge Mets 8th inning.
Well, it's they've had a real great run of it, and their bullpen has been extremely sharp. Their defense has been sharp, and when they struggled the past few seasons because they were deficient in those areas, they were deficient in the game tonight.
3 pitches for 2 outs for K-Rod, and now he'll take on Ian Desmond, trying to get the final out of the night. Low and away for ball 1. Mets will have Mike Pelfrey going to the mound tomorrow in the final game of the homestand. A 1:10 start tomorrow. Greg Stammen will be going for the Nats, and a lot of heads down in that Nats dugout tonight. Below the knees to Desmond, 2-0.
I was just thinking, you know how things have changed so much with Mike Pelfrey? Is that you have a warm feeling if you're on the Mets bench with Pelfrey going to try to get you a series in the last game.
He pitched a tremendous game here on Friday night against the Giants in his last start. Throwing strikes. Popped up in foul ground. Davis hoping for a chance. Near the dugout. Leans. Flips. And he hung on again. Unbelievable. Ike Davis has done it again, and the ball game is over. 3 for 3. That's just not possible.
How's this happen?
What a play. 3 separate times in his first month in the big leagues. Ike Davis has gone to that railing and made like an acrobat. He's caught every one. And that finishes off a remarkable night of baseball for the New York Mets. Their biggest comeback of the season. Frankie Rodriguez gets the save. He's the beneficiary of Ike Davis's gymnastics. The Mets with a 6-run 8th inning win it 8-6 to even up the series with the Nats.
Well, you don't know where the season's going to take you, but a big game for these Mets who needed a win here in the middle game of this series. Takahashi with 2 more scoreless innings. Raul Valdez gets his first win and a save for K-Rod.
Well, a team that's been struggling offensively got big hits from David Wright and Jason Bay and also Chris Carter. How about that?
Carter with the go-ahead hit in the 6-run 8th inning in his first at-bat as a Met. And the Mets get themselves a hard-earned, big come-from-behind win to even up the series and set up a rubber game tomorrow afternoon with Mike Pelfrey on the mound. Coverage beginning at 12:30 on SNY as the Mets and Nats wrap up the series and the homestand. What a win for the Mets tonight. Down 6-1 when they came to bat in the 6th. A run in the 6th and 6 in the 8th. And Ike Davis finishes it off in Ike Davis fashion with help and a chuckle. The Mets win it. For Keith, Ron, and Kevin, I'm Gary. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.